Welcome, everybody. This is Comiholics, episode 39. 39.
I'm done.
We have not done a show since our pre-Christmas episode 38.
Yeah, we took about 2 months off.
We do this every year. It seems like we just skip a month somewhere in there. So we're back, and you know, it's been a while, so maybe everybody's forgotten who we are. Maybe we should reintroduce ourselves.
Who would be listening to this show if they haven't listened to any previous ones?
I don't know, random
like
YouTube
what
search.
Random person is
just like random YouTube, you know,
show.
someone like typing in like comic and then accidentally Comiholics pops up.
So they're looking for stand-up comedy and they accidentally run across this show. Is what you're saying?
Or just comics and alcohol.
They're looking for what, Hannibal Buress or whatever, and all of a sudden Comiholics pops up. You know,
I was just looking for that one where Dane Cook gets drunk on stage, but I guess this one will do.
So let's talk a little bit about ourselves. Sitting over here to my right is Dirt, and
I love walks on the beach and sunsets and 17th century French poetry.
And then across the table over here is the Huckster.
And I'm rocking some scotch, got some homebrew, and I'm going to be pretty quiet because I got to catch up on some comics that we're talking about later.
Yeah, and let's talk about how spoiled we are this evening.
We've got a lot of liquor in here.
Well, all right, first of all, the Comiholics HQ, it's kind of like, have you ever seen the movie Grandma's Boy?
Mm-hmm.
You know when they're like in the basement
and
they're chilling with like the Aboriginal dude and like the elephant and the monkey are upstairs? That's kind of what the space is. It's kind of half finished, half not finished, well decorated.
I thought you were going to say full of video games and drugs.
No.
That's all I got out of Grandma's Boy.
I don't play video games.
Oh. I see what you did there.
So, that's kind of what we've got here. You know, it's our little home away from home, where we like to get away. We talk about comic books. Most importantly, we talk about your off-the-cuff stuff, not necessarily the big titles, but we do cherish the big labels like Marvel and DC, Image, Vertigo, such and such. Anything else you want to add about Comiholics? Oh, no. Yeah, we like to drink alcohol. Hence the holics part.
There's that small part of it.
The holics part of it.
Which, the assortment tonight is quite varied.
We have some 1792 Ridgemont Reserve.
What kind of liquor is that?
Kentucky straight.
Kentucky.
It goes straight. It's like a bus.
Bourbon whiskey. And then
plows right through you.
The Huckster brought some Macallan 18-year. We've got some.
We got some old smoky Tennessee moonshine still sitting here. I'm gonna be drinking some of that in a little bit.
And we're also drinking homebrew Scottish ale as well as a local microbrewery, Obed and Isaac. What was the name of that beer again?
That is the Mother Road.
Mother Road.
And then we do have a couple swigs of Maker's Mark still sitting here.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
The Husker perked up there. All of a sudden, he stopped looking at the tablet and got all fired up.
We do have some Zachariah Harris.
No,
I'm going back to the
that
comics.
is Zombie Apocalypse Last Resort. And then, of course, we've got some
mead?
That's still some of that mead.
Oh.
Dude, be careful.
Can I drink out of the bottle?
I don't want to do this show solo.
Can I just drink out of the bottle?
If you want, go ahead. I don't care. It'll sterilize the second it hits your lips.
Because it's that pure.
That's good. I
See
love watching all this stuff
floating around in the bottom. Yeah, you should have not have tipped it back so hard.
Yeah, well, you know, I wanted to get a good swig.
So that's our show. You know, we
that's the show.
Yeah,
all right,
that's
pretty
it. We're
short
done
tonight. All right, sweet.
And usually the first phase of our show, we like to talk about what we've read recently, which in this case, we're talking about a lot of comic books.
There's a lot of stuff because it's been a long time.
Yeah.
And you finally got caught up on your comics.
I did. I finally cleared out my box of my pull list at the comic book store, which is Killin' Enterprises.
Actually, now it's just Killins.
Killins? It's just Killins
Killins now?
Okay. Moved into a new store. Pretty exciting stuff here in Springfield, Illinois.
Go to shoppcn.com, the official online store of the Pop Culture Network, if you want to find Killin's online inventory. You could buy all those same comics. We'll just, actually, if you want to order a comic and we're sold out, we can just pull it out of the Apocalypse
box
there behind the counter. You can go ahead and buy his comics.
All right, now you're being a little insensitive.
Not to our fans. They love it.
Yeah, open donation. Just come on over. You can pick through my boxes. So, where to begin?
What do you got?
Okay.
Wait, first of all, are there any wieners left, or are the wieners all gone?
The little wieners?
Yeah, are they still
were
there?
They were tasty, weren't they?
Your wife has a way with wieners that's just amazing.
Yeah, there's still some little wieners over there.
I'll have some wieners here.
And there's also some salty nuts if you'd like to.
Actually, the salty nuts are pretty
nuts
low. I keep putting these nuts in my mouth. And
okay. Huckster, have you put any of my salty nuts in your mouth this evening?
I've been all over your salty nuts.
Okay. There's a running theme there for those that eat perennials.
I don't get it.
Okay.
And the staked wieners.
Star Trek: Parallel Lives by Johnson and Lang.
Was that 28?
Lang?
I don't know, whatever.
Okay.
Is that issue 28?
This is 29.
Oh, 29. All right. Now, this is the first paper copy of Star Trek you've gotten, right?
Yeah.
Because you've been reading digital up until
Right.
now. You made the switch to paper. Why did you make the switch to paper?
Actually, I've started to switch more to paper on a lot of stuff.
Why?
I guess I felt that my reading patterns had changed too much.
Either with the
digital.
FBI and NSA tracking your reading habits?
No. I don't care about that. I don't like read any of that Japanese weird stuff. But no, I just I felt like I was kind of running through it too fast. You know,
Running through it too fast.
like I would read through it too fast on digital. Whereas if I had the paper in front of my face, I felt like
It makes you slow down?
Yeah,
Huh. Interesting.
and I felt like I was paying attention more. So,
Really?
which is good, being a critic. Believe it or not,
Hmm.
it's good to know your material.
Is it really? Because
Yeah.
I just kind of half-ass breeze through everything.
Well, usually I forget the names of everybody, but that's
I mean,
why
reading
you're here.
comics, relations with the wife, raising children.
Is
I just kind of
everything
breeze through
half-ass?
everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
just whatever.
Just
Just enough to
one
get
foot
by.
in the grave and
You
one
know.
foot out the door. Okay, so have you read this one?
Yes, of course I've read that
Okay.
one.
In Parallel
Come on.
Lives, the interesting twist is you basically have an alternate universe of all of the Star Trek characters.
And what is this alternate universe?
What is it?
Yeah. Is it the mirror universe where everybody's got a goatee and is evil?
No.
Oh.
It's the female versions of all the male versions and male versions of all the female versions.
So it's a gender
So-
swapping.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes. So you've got a Jane T. Kirk. But I don't know what T is. I don't know if it's Tiberius or not.
Probably not Tiberia.
Tiberia, probably. Oh boy, now you're gonna quiz me. See, this is the part I said earlier. I'm not good with the names. Scotty is a woman.
Spock is a woman.
Spock is a
but
woman.
Uhura is a man.
Uhura is
Although
a
it's
man.
not
And
Uhura, it's
Yeah, it's like
Uhurum or something. Well, it's like if it ends with an A, that's the female ending.
Right.
So for him, it's like Uhurum or something.
And of course, there's still a relationship though between what you just said and
Uhura
Spock.
And Spock, yeah.
Basically, this is only a 2-part series, so obviously it's going to end pretty quickly. Spoiler alert, basically at the end of this...
As far as this part of the story goes, but you never know.
But the story begins where the alternate universe, I think it's Kirk, who's also there, Bones... I'm trying to remember who's there.
Why are they there?
No, it's
What are
Kirk,
they doing?
Spock, and then a red shirt are on that planet where they intervene and basically give
because there's like a slave
some
trade
slave
going on,
trade
and
people a chance, and they get sucked into. Don't they get sucked into like a? Yeah, they get sucked into a black hole, and when they come out, they run into
the Enterprise.
The Enterprise,
but they are the Enterprise,
right?
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. Which is this isn't a part of any classic story, is it? This was never...
Not gender swap that I know of,
No. That would have been interesting.
They've probably done it in comics before.
Right.
But do you think the female Picard is bald?
I don't know.
Mm.
Would it be Jean Luke? Jane
Jean
Luke?
Lucy?
I can't do Jane again.
Jean Lucy?
I thought the art in this was kind of clever, the way they kind of broke it up on some of the pages.
felt like
the framework.
The art was okay, but it wasn't as detailed.
I was about to say that I think that the facial features and the expressions were kind of...
It was serviceable, but it
Yeah.
wasn't. It didn't stand out in any way. It was
No.
kind of bland in many ways.
maybe a little too clean. Especially like on the aliens and stuff. I don't know.
I think they probably got a female artist to do it since it was a female
I think it was,
crew,
actually, yeah.
And she wasn't as detailed as the regular people who do it. But I mean, overall, I like the story.
Yasmin.
Yasmin?
Yeah.
Yasmin could be a boy's name.
Overall, though, I like the story. I thought it was fun.
I would love...
I kind of want to see how... I mean, I know... You kind of know that Part 2 is going to end in some sort of, like, campy ending where it was like if it never existed, it didn't matter. But I'm really hooked on what IDW has been doing with this new ongoing Star Trek and how it kind of bleeds in and out of the original story. And then also takes a twist with the new movies coming out, because now there's a third one coming out with J.J. Abrams with the original writers, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm pretty excited about that too, and I'm sure in the next year or so there'll probably be another tie-in included in there.
You know, I was kind of thinking that after this two-part story's done, if they were to bring back this female crew and do like a 4-part miniseries or something, like showing their universe and just how things are
really?
different.
Are you that intrigued by
it. I would read it.
Really?
Yeah, I think I would.
Huh. Okay. I would too.
Because I think they handled it pretty well. I mean, it's a story, the idea of switching
the
boys are the girls and the girls are boys.
It kind of seemed like it fit, you know, when they were describing the personalities. Because, you know, that's the first thing you're looking at. Do the personalities match?
Right.
You know?
Because even, like, you could tell that there were some things that were different. Like the way, like, Jane Kirk was worrying about, like, well, now that I've got Khan's blood in me, what happens if I try to have kids?
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's a good point. Yep.
Did you read all those already? Or can you not figure out how to get to the next issue?
I didn't. I just was interested in this one.
Oh, all right.
You guys hooked me.
Overall,
Then I couldn't figure out your tablet here.
Would you even call that a mini-series? What do you call a 2-part series? A vignette?
A 2-part series?
2-part series.
Mm-hmm. A 2-parter?
A twofer.
I think it's something else.
All right. Moving on to something else.
It's called Running a Train, right? Where you've got a whole bunch of issues in a row.
How about Walking Dead 119, 120?
Okay.
I'm just diving right in here into the good meat and potatoes.
I don't think we talked about since like 116 or something on this show because it's been a while.
How often do these come out?
Well, they've been doing 2 a month for the last couple months because they've been doing it a lot faster.
Well, let's just talk about the most recent then, and I'm sure we can lead into the rest. I mean, I'm kind of fuzzy on a couple issues before that.
Well, first of all, what's going on in the Walking Dead universe?
Well, this is no spoiler. I mean, 120's been out, so we can.
Should we also talk about the show, maybe?
Let's talk about the show first.
Mid-season premiere.
So it's season premiere tonight. What do you think?
You want to do that first and then the comics?
Why not? You brought it up.
Okay. All right. So basically, they're at roughly where issue 49 would have been.
Right.
The prison has fallen. Rick and Carl are back on their own. You don't see anybody else except Michonne kind of wandering through the woods. But otherwise, it's pretty much just the Rick and Carl story for most of the episode. I noticed that this one was actually written by Kirkman. Like I noticed in the credits that it came up, he's the sole writer on this episode.
The way I started to see things tie in, it had that Kirkman feeling to me.
What do you mean?
Justify
your comment.
The relationship between Carl and Rick, that torn relationship where Carl turns on Rick for a short period of time, that happens in the comic. I don't remember where.
Right.
But it's actually an important part where Rick acknowledges that Carl's a man. So
he's
that
grown
was
up now.
Yeah, I felt that was a pinnacle part that Kirkman put in there for a reason. And then, yes, it is only about Rick, Carl, and Michonne. So there's that whole question mark about what happened with the rest of the crew.
Which I think they'll talk about in the next episode next week.
But that's also very Kirkman style, where he would do that in the comic, where he would carry on with one story.
Well, he would follow Rick because Rick was the center of his story,
right.
and they get separated, and then he would meet up with them later.
Right.
Whereas I think the TV show will actually go into their stories more when they're separated, just because they can kill more time.
And I think they've definitely ramped up the cinematic view, the perception of what's going on. Like in the very beginning, when they're zooming down, basically like a Google Earth, right down onto the tank, and the zombies are swarming the tank. That was really cool.
The one thing I kind of thought about the episode, though, was it felt like there was a whole lot of, I'm going to stand here and stare at this wall. I'm going to stand here and stare into space. I'm so? Carl. I'm going to stand here and stare at this door. I mean, there was just like a lot of him staring at stuff and
I think
brooding, and and
they're trying to make you think. Obviously, they're trying to make you think what he's thinking.
Probably. I mean, I'm not necessarily saying that it's unnecessary for the story or anything like that, but it was just kind of like, a lot of it. I wanted more action, I think, out of it, considering how much action there was in the last one. It was like you're kind of on that high of all the people dying, all the stuff exploding.
I was expecting more strife leaving the prison. A little bit more panic and
a little of trying to get away. Yeah. As opposed to, it seems like, we went...
Oh, we'll just walk away.
Yeah. We've taken 10 steps now, so now we can just kind of saunter on down the road.
And the whole part with Michonne walking, because she basically, like, lets two other walkers walk into this barricade, chops off their arms and their mouths, and makes them her puppets. And there's this whole part where she's walking through this field, and all these other zombies are completely surrounding her, but they're all following in the herd.
Even though she's still sweating.
Yeah, she still smells like a living human.
Yeah.
In the past, they would have to, like, cover themselves in
corpse guts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had some problems with that. I think we talked about it during the show.
I think he did it just for, like, a story purpose, but from a logical standpoint of the quote-unquote rules of the zombie universe, it just didn't make any sense.
Right.
It was only for the sake of showing her kind of losing her humanity and then deciding she wants to regain it again.
Well, and then...
Like, she didn't want to go back to being that cold, unfeeling person.
Right. I love that is what ruined your suspension of disbelief.
It's like in a zombie story?
Yeah.
She was in a pack of zombies.
Well, she's like walking with all these zombies, and it's like, why aren't they eating her? It's like common sense would think that. But I think the part that Kirkman was trying to make was the physical transition for her was to basically slaughter all the zombies around her in order to get over herself, to snap out of it. It was almost like, in a sense, which I don't think that was her intention, it was almost like she lured all those zombies out to that field just so she could have a heyday with them.
I don't think so. I think she was going to go back to her old life where she was herself. She was not going to be...
And then she changed her mind?
Yeah, she was not going to have connections with any other people because it sucks when you lose people. Why bother to make friends? Because they're all going to die and you're going to lose everything again. And so she was just going back to being cold and heartless and surviving. And she's watching the zombies out there and she's just thinking, like, I don't want this. Like, I need people. Like, I need to have other humans in my life. I can't just wander around anymore. So then she just gets pissed off and just starts slaughtering everybody, and that's when she goes back to the trail.
Right.
And she sees the footprints again, and she decides to follow them. Because she saw them the first time, and she said, no, I'm not following the footprints. I'm going off my own way. And then she came back and said, I've got to follow these footprints, and I have to be around humans.
She needs to get back to humanity.
Yep. Well, it just turned out that it was Rick and Carl's footprints.
And also very Kirkman style, if you think about it. Kirkman has a knack for, like, putting you in a scenario where there's just, like, utter chaos and action, and then centralizes on certain characters, and, like, totally takes you off that path. You know what I'm saying? So, I think it was well done. I think this first episode, it was exciting, even though it didn't have that kind of impact that the season finale did last season. But I don't know.
What do you think of
the part where Carl's in the house, because like basically Rick is on the couch, almost dead, like unconscious, pretty much,
passed out and healing and whatever.
And Carl goes out around the house to like kill the 2 zombies that are banging on the door, and he starts wandering around this basically abandoned neighborhood, goes in this one home. As he's in the home, this zombie breaks through, and he's obviously a pretty powerful zombie too. He's not a half-dead one. You trying to turn that off?
Yeah.
I'll get that for you.
Well, I was trying to do it without interrupting the flow of the conversation on the podcast.
Too late.
I'm just going to turn off the television set, but oh well.
That's real live candor for you there, folks.
So anyway.
What?
So the zombie in the house attacking Carl.
Yeah, I just, that was a really pivotal point for him, too, because the whole part where he gets out of there and he barely gets out of there. Like, the zombie is almost biting his leg. And I was, like, backing up in my couch, freaking out, like, please don't bite Carl. Please don't bite Carl. And he manages to get away, closes the door, and then writes something in chalk on the door, like...
it got my shoe, but didn't get me.
Yeah. I don't know. It was a.
What do you think of Carl eating 120 ounces of chocolate?
I thought that was
pudding?
funny. I thought it was a nice little twist. He's like dangling his feet off like the porch roof. There's a zombie reaching his arm through the window behind him, and he's just taking his time, smile on his face, eating pudding. Big old can of pudding.
Would Bill Cosby have approved of that scene? Don't you think if you, let's just say from a standard human standpoint, what would happen to your bowels?
Wait a minute, what's a standard human?
Well, let me put it this way. What would happen to your bowels if you were eating mostly fruits and vegetables for
and
a
you ate
couple
that much
months,
sugar,
and then suddenly you ate
coma.
120 ounces of chocolate pudding?
You would go into a coma.
Even if you didn't go into a sugar coma, you would be diarrheaing yourself all over the place.
But you know what? If you hadn't had it for so long...
Oh, I'm sure it'd be good. You'd totally gorge yourself on it, but then you'd be like laying on the ground in cramps, like, just like pooping all in
It's like right before the show we were talking about, grabbing a Twinkie cart and,
Like you'd be making your own chocolate pudding. You gonna turn off that heater?
Yes.
Is the whole house gonna get cold?
Technical difficulties. Yeah, it's gonna be cold for a little bit.
It's like getting good at turning stuff off.
It's 14 degrees outside.
Yeah.
Is there a heater upstairs?
No. Well, if we have to leave it on, then you're going to have to edit the sound.
Just go ahead and leave it on.
All right, we're going to have the sound there.
No, they can just listen to the hum in the background. Who cares? It's very, very cold outside. Wind chill, I think tonight is supposed to be like -10 or something. So, not looking forward to that.
This winter has to end. It has to end.
Oh, well, it will, because this summer is when global warming actually starts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because up until now, they thought it had already started, but it was just getting ready.
Okay.
So this summer is when it actually starts.
Gotcha.
So this will be the last winter ever. There'll never be snow or cold again.
I better have another pour of 1792. I like the sound of that. That's awesome.
That little poop at the end.
The sound of loneliness.
Cheers. You want some more? You want some?
I'll have some of that, yeah.
All right, okay.
Yeah, you've already drank your stuff that's okay. Now you can drink his vile refuge
or swill. It's got to be better than Zachariah Harris.
Yes. Yeah, that is the sound of loneliness right there.
The sound of one hen clapping. So, moving on to Walking Dead 119-120. In 119, Negan had the face-off with Rick. Everything was disbanded. Negan had gotten away. Rick was already back at the camp, right?
I don't know what issue things happened in.
Okay. Well, I'm just trying to summarize leading up to 120. Basically, in 120, Negan confronts Rick back at the camp. And he has what appears to be...
Oh, he's got that girl.
Oh, no, that's 119. He has the girl.
What's her name?
And she has a bag over her head. And he's like, basically, I'll give her back, whatever.
He releases her, and they take off the hood.
And she's a zombie.
And then Negan and his men start chucking grenades over the wall at him.
So that leads us into 120. So he's still chucking the grenades in 120.
But I think the key thing in 120 is that you're watching some of the houses actually blow up.
Right.
And the walls are starting
and what's going on inside?
Right, so I think this is kind of like the fall of the neighborhood. Like that
Right.
neighborhood that they're in this is it. It's done. So it's time for them to move on again.
Well, you lose Denise, the doctor,
Oh yeah.
at the very first page. And that the was it the woman with it, or was that a man with the dreadlocks? That guy, gal, person,
That was a woman.
woman, her.
Yeah, yeah.
She dies.
They have this thing where chicks sometimes get together.
Oh
And
yeah, I've heard of that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I
That's
saw
cool,
movies
man.
on HBO about it late at night
Yeah.
one night, but
And Negan mercilessly chucks grenades over the wall. But what's interesting though is what's the guy with
Scarface. I
the
can't remember
Iron
his name.
Face guy.
Yeah.
He's one of the victims with the iron where he
He's their inside man.
Negan would punish people by taking like a cast iron and stick it in the coals, and people that disobeyed him or broke his rules.
No, it was only
If you slept with
Negan
his
had
women.
a harem.
Yeah, if you slept with
And
his
if,
women.
and if you made a move on any of the women in his harem, like especially he would take wives away from the
Right,
husbands. So
right.
if the husband and the wife tried to, like, oh, I still love you, whatever, he would take the guy, take the hot iron, and just press it on their
on the
face.
side of their face.
Oh, nice.
So he had this like mangle, but he was also kind of his right hand man. It
Weird.
was really twisted.
Like a Stockholm syndrome
in
thing.
several
Yeah.
issues before, maybe even like 20 issues ago, it was kind of revealed that he wanted to turn on Negan. That it was... Is it Negan? Negan? I've never heard anybody ever pronounce it but us.
I think it's Negan.
Negan?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a bizarre name for a bad guy. I still struggle with that.
Well, he
Anyways.
tried doing Bill, but Bill the badass just sounded kind of silly, so he tried to find something a little different.
So
He's
basically...
probably like a hockey player with this name, and everybody in the world in
The
Canada...
dude's name is Gary. So Gary... That's his name, Gary.
Oh, okay.
He turns on them.
See, Gary doesn't sound like a badass.
No, he sounds like a wimp.
Gary sounds like the guy who fixes your copy machine.
Hi, Gary.
Gary is
Gary
Indiana
would never
Gary.
turn on
Indiana
us.
Gary.
So basically, Gary starts turning on Negan's men, and
He starts giving grenades to the people inside the neighborhood so they can throw them back out.
right.
Try to even the odds a little bit.
Rick starts running, trying to. He grabs Andrea and Carl and runs away.
Right.
That's a picture I put on Comiholics episode 39
On
That's
Facebook that only 5 people can see.
right.
So good thing you pointed that out to the listening audience.
Exactly.
You can't even track it down and see anything.
But there's an explosion where like Carl gets knocked down, and
Rick freaks out.
yeah,
Because
because it looks like he's dead. In the meantime,
Carl looks like he's dead. Half his face is
Yeah,
gone.
yeah.
His eye is just kind of... All right, so anyway...
in the meantime, Negan's men are cornered by Gary and run to the truck and run away
So let me ask you this.
because
Maggie.
Maggie comes back with her crew from Hilltop and
Right.
saves the day.
She's decided that it's time to go back and join the war.
Right.
But she kind of gave a speech about a couple issues ago, so you knew it was coming.
Right.
You just didn't know when. And of course she shows up just in
Don't you
time.
think it's
to
kind of
turn
interesting? She's the leader.
time. Why?
I don't know. Just she never was a leader in the group.
She lost Glenn, so now she's got to Michonne up.
Well, she's got a baby too, right? We're assuming she had the baby because she's not pregnant here. So there's another baby around somewhere.
Middle of the screen. Bookshelf.
Yeah.
So
what do you want to read?
that's
You
kind of
wanna
where we're
read,
at here now, folks. I
105.
mean,
Action Comics? You want Action Comics? You want to read some action?
we're searching tablets here for.
We're trying to teach Huckster how technology works.
The man can operate AutoCAD for crying out loud.
Yeah, that's old school.
But not a Nook HD.
I don't have a Nook HD.
All right, so
I
we
just got
know
my phone.
that Maggie's had the child. She is now the leader of Hilltop. She saved
How
the
far
day.
along was she? I mean, was she baby bump?
She was big.
I don't
when she went to
remember.
Hilltop.
Okay.
Because after
Glenn died.
Glenn died, she knew she needed to be somewhere safe, and she felt that Hilltop was the safest place. Because at the time, Negan was attacking
You mean
the
Negan?
community. Negan. I'm gonna call him several different names before it's all over.
Call him Bradley.
But it's funny. But when Negan finally gets his group back together and they start to challenge him on, well, what did we really accomplish? we don't have our base anymore. He's like, yeah, but look, we blew up their place with grenades. Where's the fire brigade? It's not like there's a bunch of fire trucks that are going to show up and put the fire out. They're screwed. We've blown up their entire community.
So,
which kind of like brings things back to
Empire,
reality. It's kind of cool. It's like, yeah, actually, that was kind of brilliant. I mean,
so the Empire has fallen, right?
Yeah.
Like, did they? Because they went
the
and attacked.
Empire, the Negan.
No. Or the Kingdom.
The Kingdom.
The Kingdom has fallen, right?
The Kingdom is gone.
Because where Ezekiel had the tiger, they came back and attacked
Tiger's
there.
dead.
And so that has fallen. So the only place left is the hilltop. So now they're all going to run back to the hilltop to try to take control of that because it's the only place left.
You mean Negan or Rick?
Both.
Yeah.
I mean,
good point.
Is there any other place for them to go?
No.
Or at least not that we know of.
Right.
Maybe Negan has another like hidden harem building somewhere.
Full of like ninja women?
Baberellas.
Baberellas. You mean like Flash Gordon Baberellas, or?
Is there another kind?
No.
Oh,
no, there
okay.
isn't. Okay. Good stuff, folks. So, there's a lot of Walking Dead banter all at once. Big fan of the show still. I think the season premiere for this season is a big hit.
It's the
I'm
mid-season
excited.
premiere.
Mid-season, that's right. They split it up, 6 and 6.
Which is like the British TV thing, and that's what everybody's doing now.
Doctor Who?
It's like, well, but
Does Doctor Who do
almost
it that
all
way?
British TV shows are like 6 and 12 episode seasons.
Well, it's a good way to build suspense, and also a better way to like spend more time in production.
I guess because they can spend more per episode. Because instead of having like 22, 23
Right.
episodes in a normal
You
US
got more
season,
production value. You got more
You don't
time
have
to
the
do it.
as many filler episodes.
Right. Yeah.
you don't end up with Lost season 3.
I still think I never.
No,
did
we're not gonna go there.
I never bothered watching the last half of that.
So
it was okay. The last couple seasons were okay. But
and I was talking
All right.
about this on the Walking Dead TV show. How
you were on the Walking Dead TV show?
No, I was talking about when we were watching it.
Oh, okay.
How right before, I was expressing how nervous I was when Carl almost got bit,
Uh-huh.
and there was some rumors going around that Rick was going to die or whatever. But I think Carl is still the main character for both.
You
the
think it's Carl and not Rick?
No, I think it's Carl. I think once Carl dies,
I think it's Herschel. If anything ever happens to him, the whole thing's going to crumble. There's just no way you can continue on.
all right. But we're going to continue on anyways.
Do we have to?
Yes.
I'm going to drink some moonshine. I might as well add some moonshine
I
to
just
the
gave
mix.
you some whiskey. Yeah, you don't have to just swish them both in your mouth.
Oh, I can't open that. It's like crusted shut.
It's probably sealed by all the sugar in it. There you go.
Oh man, it still smells like donkey ass.
You would know what donkey ass smells like. All right, we're going to talk about Superior Spider-Man.
Did you know it's ending?
Yes.
It's
You told me
ending.
that.
I think issue 31 is the last issue.
Okay, and we're up to 26.
Yep.
It started from, Darkest Hours, basically leading into Darkest Hours ends in 25, and
They're going into the Goblin War, or Goblin
Right.
Nation, or whatever they're calling it.
and what's going on is the original Green Goblin, Norman Osborn, is fighting with not
But
the Hobgoblin, but the Hobgoblin's son? I'm confused now.
Well, it's like the Hobgoblin is there,
Right.
but somebody else was using his stuff for a
Right.
while, so he
Okay.
took the guy who.
Oh,
was
it was
using-
that kid from
the
Daily Bugle.
Yeah.
Okay,
What's his face?
right.
What's his face and what's his name?
So basically, the Goblin and the Hobgoblin decide that they shouldn't be fighting. That
They're going to join up and
Right.
join armies together to take out Spider-Man
Right.
and turn the city under their control. So Darkest Hours was just Venom.
Right.
Venom attached itself to Superior Spider-Man. They had their tussle, whatever.
right, and Venom does a couple things for Doc Ock as Peter Parker. as Spider-Man because he basically, when Venom is finally removed from him, he tries to kind of act and convince to the Avengers that that's the reason why he's been acting all goofy, and not the fact that he's
Otto Octavius.
Yeah. Which I thought was kind of clever and kind of a nice writing style way
but they didn't really
answering
buy
that
it.
question. No, they didn't. They challenge him on it. They confront him again for the second or third time.
And so he quits the Avengers.
He quits, jumps out the window, and off he goes.
The other thing, though, with Venom is that when Venom takes control, Otto is using a lot of his willpower to try to maintain control over the symbiote, and while that's happening, it somehow allows the mind of Peter Parker to reemerge from his psyche.
And that's what kickstarts Peter Parker back.
Which...
Okay, for the record, Dirt is very happy with the transition of Peter Parker to Doc Ock. I myself would like to see Peter come back.
As far as I'm concerned, this is the first real big interesting thing that... The first time you had a villain that basically got away with it,
right,
but then finds himself wanting to redeem himself for winning. And this was like a fantastic idea of, every time a hero fights the villain, you always know that the hero is eventually going to win and come out on top. And they finally said, we're changing the dynamic. We are letting the villain win. And winning big. Like, this was a big deal that he won.
Not only that, he's an Avenger.
Well, but not only that, it's like he finally conquered the hero, but then took over his life. So he gets all the spoils of the good life,
right?
That he stole. He basically,
in fact,
was able
he tries
to
kind
it.
of perfect it. He tries to make Peter's life better.
But when he takes over Peter's life, he gets the implant of Peter's memories, and it changes who he is because it makes him the hero that it made Peter.
Right.
Because in Otto's mind, he had that life. He thinks back on his life, and he's having Peter's memories, and so it's changing his outlook. Like, he understands the loss of Uncle Ben.
It's almost a mix because you see a little bit of...
Yeah, he still remembers some things that he did as a bad guy, but then he also has that feeling like he's got to redeem himself for doing that. And so it finally made something that was interesting and different from a major publisher. But then now they're just like, oh, okay, well, by the way, the hero's actually going to win out in the end, and he's going to come back, and it's going back to the status quo.
And, also, we have to... I would like to give some acknowledgments here. I mean, we got Dan Slott and Christos Gage that have been pulling off this writing style for a while now.
Which I didn't realize Christos Gage was doing it. Like, I thought it was all Dan Slott forever.
No, it's a collaboration.
Is he on the later issues too?
Yeah.
25?
Well, I don't know before 24 here.
What about on 25?
Yeah.
Is he Gage?
Gage?
Is he on 26?
No, he's not on 26. He's not on 26.
Okay, so he only helped the Venom.
The Darkest Hour.
Darkest
Hour, basically.
Alright.
Good stuff. I mean, great twists. Part of me feels for you. I get what you're saying about having a villain get away with it, but for some reason, it's just not right to me. It's like you just can't do this,
But here's the other thing.
It'd be no different than, for me in my eyes, it'd be no different than like if Captain America died and somebody took over his body and it was a different soul. You just can't do that.
Didn't they do that?
Did they?
Didn't Red Skull?
Red Skull took over Captain America?
I think.
I don't know. You know better than I would. It can't end that way. I think it was a good run, but you can't leave it that way.
Here's part of the problem. Here's part of the problem. Everybody who was freaking out about it.
I'm not freaking.
Well, no, I'm just saying that everybody who was freaking out about it, part of the reason they were freaking out is because of everything else that happened to Peter Parker over the last few years, which was the one moment in time, brand new day, one more day, and all of that kind of stuff.
The second day, and the third Tuesday of the month.
Bringing Peter Parker back doesn't fix his relationship with Mary Jane.
No, it doesn't fix anything.
It doesn't fix his
Actually,
relationship with Aunt
worse.
May.
It makes it worse because Doc Ock kind of screwed up a few
Well,
things.
yeah, but Mary Jane started to figure out that it's not really Peter, and so then when Peter actually comes back and they have the big reveal, then she'll throw herself at him, and then they cry, and then they have sex, and then they're back to being married. And
what about Carly? Poor Carly. She's a...
well, she's a goblin
we
now.
We forgot to talk about that.
She's, what, they gave her some really retarded name. What was the...
I don't know.
The Shriek... No, not Shriek. Shriek is...
Hold on, I can find it. It's in episode... It's in issue 26.
Oh, it's last week's episode.
Yeah.
Or was it the end of 25? They turned her.
Pretty sure it was... Yeah, maybe you're right. It was 25. I thought it was... It's kind of funny in 26 here. Basically, Spider-Man gets confronted by the Avenger, and he's like, I'm too busy. Look what I got going on here. And then the Avenger's like, oh, really? And then, like, Cap's like, okay, take them all out. And then take out the whole gang that Spider-Man's fighting. And he's like, okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay, now I know what you're talking about. I was kind of confused there for a second. What the hell are you talking about? Although, do you read Superior Spider-Man Team Up?
Like the first one.
Okay, all right. Well, in the last issue of Team Up, Daredevil and Punisher basically come to Spider-Man and they go, something's wrong in New York. And it's because of the upcoming Goblin War. But they go, there's something going on, we don't know what it is, but we can tell that something is starting to build. And so they go back to Spider Island, and Goblin has infiltrated Superior Spider-Man's army. And so the whole army basically turns on Daredevil, Punisher, and Spider-Man on Spider Island.
Huh.
And they start pulling out like pumpkin bombs and attacking them.
Huh.
So now the three of them have to fight the entire Spider Army, and the issue ends, and then you read the next issue of Superior, nothing about it.
Really?
So it's like...
So it's like it never existed.
Well, I don't know if it's going to... Like, if it's going to catch up. Like, that story will end in Team Up, and then suddenly in Superior it'll be like, oh, did you read the last two issues? You know, that's where it happened. Blah, 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 whatever.
Huh.
All right, so back to Carly Cooper.
Yeah. What is she called?
So Carly Cooper, they make her part of the Goblin family. They like splice her DNA or whatever you can randomly do to make somebody.
Don't you think it's kind of a waste of the character?
And they call her. This is her
opinion.
name. This is what they call her. This is I don't think this is a registered trademark, but her brand new villain name is Monster.
Monster. Wow.
That's
really original.
In green letters, capitalized. It's official.
She's the Marvel Monster.
Yeah.
Is the thing. So
Wow.
Yay.
So now this means in every video game and trading card set you're going to have Marvel Comics Monster. Because they can't just put Monster.
AKA Carly Cooper.
You can't trademark the name Monster, so it'll be Marvel Comics Monster.
Ugh. So.
And so she's done.
What did you say? How many issues we have left of Superior?
Just till 31. 31 is the final issue. That's where it ends.
That'll put us probably about March, April, May.
It'll be the month after Amazing number 1. So Amazing number 1, and then Superior 31, and then Amazing number 2.
Huh. Welcome back, Peter. Oh, you want to mix it up? You got something you want to talk about?
No, go ahead, keep going.
Okay. Did you read any of the Turtle micro series?
I am still like a year and a half behind on Turtles.
A year and a half behind on Turtles. Okay. Oh, brother.
The last thing I remember you talking about was when they were doing the City War, and Leonardo had been turned against them, and he was evil.
Okay.
But then they brought him back to the family, and then...
Well, he's back. Basically, they go off to April O'Neil's parents' farm to get away.
That was in the original series, and in the movie, in the first movie.
They go to get away. Mike's just not... Ralph's just not the same. He's kind of still distanced from the group. Applex appears.
Oh,
so basically kind of like
white fox or whatever.
She basically appears to seek refuge.
She wants some refuge.
She wants to seek some refuge.
Give me all your trash.
That's
how I imagine she talks.
There's a confrontation with Raph and the rest of the gang over her and why she's there.
Does Raphael like her?
Well, they kind of have the same. They both were under control by Shredder, so they both have.
Raphael was? You mean Leonardo?
Did I say Raphael?
Yeah.
Leo.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
Sorry, folks. It's the bourbon.
Well, there's a plot point in this.
Yeah, both Raphael and both of them. And he's just not fitting with the group. And it's kind of a build issue, issue 29. There's some flashbacks with Shredder, and also Leo talking with his mother again. There's some interesting flashbacks with Leo reflecting with his mother about.
You mean in Japan?
In Japan,
Okay.
yeah. Let's remember this is a
Like
little different.
The mom didn't get reincarnated as a turtle.
No.
Is she the
But
fox?
Leo's talking to her as a turtle.
Wait a minute. But
No, she's not the fox.
are you sure she's not the fox? Because look at the drawing right there, where it looks like her animal spirit
She
of
could
the
be.
fox.
She could be.
That could be their mom.
Yeah.
You can see the fox and Splinter making out. Huh?
Ooh.
The cat and the rat.
But this is just
On
a
a boat
build
with a
issue.
goat?
There's not a lot going on
And the
in
House
this
with the Mouse?
issue. And the Cat in the Hat. I'm still a big fan of the ongoing they've got going on here. I think Eastman and Waltz pretty much.
Have you been reading all the tie-ins and spin-offs and everything?
Not all the spin-offs other than the micro series stuff.
Did you read the Ultron Empire?
Yes.
Fugitoid?
Yes. Just issue 1. I believe it's the only issue
Yeah,
that's out right
one's
now.
the only ones that are out.
Fugitoid has always kind of interested me. So Fugitoid.
Why does Fugitoid?
Well, because Fugitoid is the scientist, and the scientist who is helped Krang develop the Technodrome, which the Technodrome is what he needs to use in order to control Earth.
Why did he help him make the Technodrome?
Well, he was captured and manipulated. And,
So just say no.
well, I don't know.
I mean, die for your cause. Don't
He
be a
tortured him.
wuss.
He tortured him.
Yeah.
Stockton doesn't realize that the scientist has been turned into Fugitoid, and rigs Fugitoid to try to help him escape. At this point, I don't really want to catch up so much, so you're just gonna have to bear with me. You should know where we're at right now.
Let me just ask you this: like, does it feel like you need to read that if you're reading Turtles, or does it just feel like an extra thing?
No, this
off to the
does.
side?
This does take part in what you feel. I feel like this is going to build into the regular ongoing series.
Okay.
You see a little backstory of Krang, and in this issue was great because you see Krang's father, because Krang's father is basically the emperor. He's self-proclaimed emperor that he's out of control. He's led the Ultron Empire to basically go across the entire galaxy, trying to claim all these planets, stretching the resources thin. Krang still supports his father, although the other, what are they called? There's a name for them.
Brains.
Yeah, the other brains.
Tentacle brains.
Are realizing that his father is just leading the Empire into destruction. There's basically a rebellion against Krang's father and Krang. Krang barely makes it out alive. Isn't that cool? I like that. This guy here, he basically starts the rebellion and takes out Krang's father and goes after Krang.
So how do you feel like this is going to tie into the...
Well, I mean, that's only 5 or 6 pages of that. And then it leads back into Fugitoid, who is, kind of playing along with Stockton, because Stockton's like,
Stockton
I need
or
to
Stockman?
Stockman. Stockman is trying to end Krang. He's trying to end Krang and his whole scheme. Fugitoid thinks that Stockman's doing it for good. He's doing it because...
Fugitoid?
Fugitoid.
You said Fugitoid.
Fugitoid. Fugitoid thinks that Stockman is trying to do it for good, but really what Stockman's trying to do is take out Krang so that way he can control Earth. So Stockman leads Krang into this laboratory with all the other brains, and gets ready to pull the plug on them, and Fugitoid stops him.
Why would he stop it?
Because he
Why not let him
claims
kill the brain people?
because he claims he can fix everything without having to wipe out.
Like travel back in time, or
I don't know. Dun dun dun. I don't know. My daughter is a huge Turtles fan. She watches the TV show. She reads the animated series comic books. I've always been a Turtles fan since I was a kid. Not a like psycho crazy Turtles fan, but enough to really want to like embrace it. I felt that most of the micro series, in one way or another, I mean, Bebop and Rocksteady really didn't tie into the main title.
Hun?
Hun. This is the story of help me out here. Hockey mask.
Jason?
Casey Jones.
Casey Jones's father at one time was a badass gang leader and basically reclaims himself as a gang leader.
Wait, Hun? They made it Hun, Casey Jones' father?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Karai is Shredder's daughter.
Huh.
And Apelex, who we were talking about earlier. So
He might be the Turtles' mom.
Yeah, it might be the Turtles' mom. We don't know. So I think the micro series, in one way or another, yes, they do tie into the main title. Kind of indirectly. But
I mean, they're all going to tie into the main title, but the question is, can you read the main title without reading those and you're fine, or does it feel like you need to read those to actually
no, it
understand
feels
the
like they
title?
do have some weight.
All right.
They do.
All right.
Did you catch up on Invincible yet?
Yeah, I'm all caught up.
You're all
Wait,
caught up?
I thought you were reading 108 now.
No, I read this one already.
Oh, okay.
So what do you think of 108? Mark Grayson is basically teamed up with, what's the robot guy? What's his name? The robot guy. He has the robots.
That's
Robot.
Yeah.
He's teamed up with Robot,
Robot and
to
Monster
go
Girl.
back to the parallel dimension where Mark Grayson has the supervillain. Help me out. Damn it. The guy he's going back to the parallel universe to kill.
Oh, the brain dude.
The brain guy.
Angstrom?
Yeah, Angstrom. He knows that Angstrom is going to come back and try to kill him in his universe. He also knows that Power Girl... No. What's her
Eve?
name? Eve. She's Power Girl. Eve,
That's
Eve
pretty
is
awesome.
pregnant, and they're about ready to have a family, and Mark doesn't want Angstrom coming after him and his family, so he knows that he has to make sure that his parallel universe, Mark Grayson, has gone to kill Angstrom.
So wait, he's decided that it's okay to kill now? That it's okay to kill
He
Angstrom?
knows that Angstrom has to be killed, otherwise he's going to continue to try to haunt him and kill him. You know, kill or be killed.
Huh.
Now, Eve's not very happy about this. Atom Eve is not very happy about this.
Is she still chubby?
Yes, she's
Okay.
pregnant.
She's pregnant.
Well, but
She's
they made her...
still kind of hot, dude.
She put on a lot of weight,
know.
though.
I don't know. I was thinking that too. I was like,
Still kind of
yeah.
sexy, you know, a little weight. It's okay, a little
a little
junk in
bit
the
of
trunk.
woman on my woman.
That's all right, you know. We like a little meat around here.
We're in the.
We're the
Yes,
Comiholics.
what?
guys
Huh?
say.
You were-
Yeah,
you were
we're
gonna say
in the
there?
tree. We could talk about this stuff. Let's face it. I will flat out say this, that I still feel Invincible is a better story than Walking Dead.
Wow.
I'd agree with that. Just because, I don't know, for some reason it renewed my interest in comics. It was real visceral, like, basic comics, you know? The origin story.
Well, not only that, but it has this like moral twist to it too. You know, you've got the society. I mean, we're totally going off on a tangent here, but the Ultram Empire and this like sense of like everybody must be pure and perfect or you must die. You know, versus like humanity, Earth, where we're just like these incredibly flawed creatures that are just kind of, you know, in many ways inferior to this other race. You know, and then the fact that you've got Mark Grayson, who's this like, you know, half-breed
He's in every-
mix.
yeah, I was gonna say
you know,
he's
he's a
in every man,
half-breed
pretty
mix
much,
of
yeah.
the two, you know, and he has to kind of find himself growing up as a teenager, and you feel like you're kind of growing up with him with this comic.
And I really
So-
like how the morality is very complex. Like,
Right.
you don't know
it's a
Who's
gray.
yeah, exactly.
The gray
There's no
area,
good or
the
bad
gray
guys.
line fades.
Yeah.
You know, from time to time. You know,
Every once in a while, somebody pops up on either side of the gray.
right.
But for the most part, almost everybody is.
Well,
like,
I think Dirt pointed out just a bit ago where it's like, you know, he tips his hat. Where, you know, it's like, you know, did Mark kind of like cross the line? You know, is it? I don't know. I just it's a great book. In 108. So going back,
I just like that some of it's like for kids, but it's really deep.
right?
Like some of the stuff like Dinosaurus.
Well, this
I mean,
is not for kids, folks.
Yeah,
Hold on,
it's
let's
not for
back up
kids.
here.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's like some of the superhero stuff. I just
You just broke something
broke
over there.
something
What'd you
over
break?
Oh, yeah, be careful. That's actually a couple of commemorative Darth Vader. Those have original Star Wars action figures in them, actually.
Well, what are they doing next to this chair?
Well, I don't know. The chair was over there when you started.
Apparently, I'm just levitating across the room.
Gets excited. Starts leaning to the left.
We're talking about chubby dwarfs.
I am
man.
sitting
I'm just
on
all
top.
in this room.
I'm sitting on comics. A chair propped on comics.
No, those are old previews. Catalogs.
So, despite Adam Eve and Mark getting an argument about him going to this parallel dimension because she feels like he should be with her, and he's going to disappear off in some parallel dimension, he may never come back. For example, Rex and the other girl that disappeared,
Monster Girl,
thank you. Yeah. Disappeared, and everybody thought they were just gone for a couple of months when actually it was like 7 years or something. They ended up like ruling an empire, and then all kinds of crazy stuff happened. Another moral ambiguity.
Well, I don't know how ambiguous
twist.
ambiguous it is because Adam Eve can't use her powers because it might ruin the
It might kill
baby.
the baby. Yeah.
Right.
So he is kind of defenseless.
Right. It's true. So he's like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going anyways. He put his foot down. He said, "Woman, I'm going."
The back of me hand says I'm taking this journey.
So he goes, and
baby, don't lose that butt.
to his amazement, and I don't think he's quite that surprised because you really get the feel that this alternate universe Mark Grayson is a little twisted.
Is this the one with
a
the
little bit.
Mohawk
Mohawk
one?
guy, yeah.
Well, he's like he seems very Viltrumite to me.
He's wicked, yeah, and he's more Viltrumite, yeah, exactly. He's embraced that a little bit more than Mark has, where Mark is very much more human.
Oh, so Mark has embraced it more than Mark has?
Yes, Mark is yes. What Mark, because he goes with Robot.
Yes,
Yeah, I got that right.
I forgot his real name.
And then right when they confront the alternate universe Mark Grayson, Robot kills the scientists in the room and the alternate universe Mark Grayson, and he has this like little antenna that pops out of his elbow that creates this like high pulse signal that affects Mark Grayson's brain in a sense where it just like gives him an overload and he shuts down. He's in a ball on the floor.
Yeah,
Then Angstrom proceeds to explain that this was his plan all along to take out Mark Grayson.
Does it seem like
It was just
that
brilliant.
Robot was really, really powerful.
Yeah, and you know what? I did not see. Did you see it coming?
No, not at all.
Did it seem plausible, or was it just kind of like a soap opera last minute?
No.
Dun, dun, dun.
No,
No.
it seemed actually.
And it
Robot,
was very-
I've been wondering about because he's so smart and like he's doing like 20 things at once usually.
Right.
Like
And
I wondered what he would.
It was
would
a
be like.
tactic. It was definitely a military tactic. you
I could
know?
see Robot turning and doing all that stuff. It was Angstrom having planned it all,
Right.
but he's supposed to be that smart.
Right.
I mean, he's got like multiple dimensions crammed into one brain. That's why he's
Right. That's why he has a giant brain, right?
giant headaches apparently.
Yeah, it was brilliant. It was just, I mean, Kirk.
Again, it's very clever writing. I mean, you can't predict it, which is good because I don't want to read comics.
And you know what? I give props to Roush and Otterly too. I just the artwork I thought was gory and detailed, and you're absorbed into it, and just
the artwork is so consistent. It's just strong.
So 108, good stuff, right?
I dig it.
So basically, end of this, Mark uses a curse word. Holy moly. And he realizes that he's stuck in a parallel universe. And he also has to explain himself to everybody outside of this lab right now that's wanting to know
Like,
what's
what
going
just
on.
happened?
So it's like, he's Mark. There's Mark on the floor dead. All the scientists are dead. Angstrom's dead, or his head's chopped off.
I think he's dead.
And
What do you think about the Viltrumite lieutenant gal?
Oh, that's right, at the end.
She, there's a kind of, they do the little side plots where they have to kind of continually save the Earth.
Right.
Well, she actually rockets down from orbit to save the day, and then just goes after the Mark.
Yeah. She's
Like,
digging
man.
on the Mark. And what'd you think of the alternate universe Mark with his little harem?
Harem? With his little Eve harem?
Yeah, it was like his way of getting over Eve.
Duplicate Eve.
Like-
A bunch of E's from a bunch of different universes.
So, good stuff. Fun.
Yeah, it's definitely... I look forward to that one.
Alrighty. You know what? I've been doing a lot of talking here, Dirt.
I think we need to take a quick break.
We need to take a
'cause
break.
We're about an hour into it right now.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not even actually finished, so I'm just probably going to stop with my stack. Because I could probably do a whole show with the rest of my stack, and we have a lot to cover, folks. Dirt's going to amaze us with all the titles he's been reading. And then,
Oh, I don't read comics.
the coup de grace, folks. The crystal of the evening. Must I say any more other than Prison Pit?
I forgot about that.
Did you forget?
No, it wasn't. I had repressed it.
Book 5, everyone. This is the Masterpiece Theater.
I'm just thinking about
The eloquent design of Johnny Ryan.
So
If I were to say any more right now, I think I would just fall over and faint.
All right.
Folks, this is Comiholics at its best. Prison Pit, Book 5. Stay tuned.
Alright, welcome back. This is episode 39. Comiholics. Why are you shutting off the music, huh? What are you doing over there?
I don't know if anybody wants to hear some Merle Saunders and Jerry Garcia, but, whatever.
Merle Saunders?
Merle Saunders.
So anyway, it's been about an hour since we took our break.
Has it really? Wow.
Just
An hour and
balance.
one false start.
Yeah, we did start once. We had
15-yard penalty.
totally had to scrap that one.
I haven't even
I blame
refreshed
you
my
for that one.
drinks.
I blame you for that one.
Is it my fault?
That was your
Okay.
fault. You should have saved that till after the show. That was wrong for a halftime show.
All right.
All right.
So, Dirt, fill us in. What have you been reading the last 2 months?
Well, let's see. I would love to tell you what I've been reading for a while.
But you don't
here.
really want to tell us?
No, I said I would love to.
Okay.
That means I would.
You would honestly love to tell us.
Let's see. I've been reading Star Trek. Let's see. What
Oh,
about Star
ooh,
Trek
let's
28?
talk about Star Trek.
All right. Have you heard of Earth 2?
Yes, that's the alternate universe of the DC universe.
Right. All right. Well, I tried Earth 2 when it launched and quickly
You
gave
got
up on
really upset when they had the thing that.
the thing with the thing.
Yeah.
With the thing. So the thing was.
Why were you upset with Earth 2?
No, I didn't like it. Just like in general, the first thing they did was they killed off Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and then just used all the other characters.
So like Aquaman is the best character?
No, it was like their
Red Robin is now Batman?
Their version of Green Lantern, their version of Flash, their version of Hawk Girl, and it's like those were like the main.
Hawk Girl's the
it
main
was
character?
like, meh.
Wow.
Lois Lane is the Red Tornado android.
What?
Yeah, it's weird. But anyway, since Batman was one of the first characters, it was kind of weird because Batman returned. And suddenly there was Batman again, and made you think, well, who the hell is the Batman if Bruce Wayne is dead in this alternate universe?
Right.
So they released an annual, I think about a month ago, Earth 2 Annual number 2, which is the origin of the all-new Batman of Earth 2. So I was like, well, it's a standalone, it's an annual, so I can just read it without reading the series. It's written by Tom Taylor, who's the guy who's been doing the Injustice comic. That's
which is really cool.
Like the #1 selling digital comic worldwide.
Way cool.
So I was like, I'll give it a shot and check it out. And so basically, this tells the story of the father, Thomas Wayne, okay? When he was shot and supposedly killed, he faked his death.
Okay.
He and his wife were kind of into the underbelly a little bit of Gotham City, and they had a drug habit, and they made all this money and everything. They were rich and successful, but then they also had like the seedy side to them. So he owed a lot of money to different people for drugs and some of the stuff. So he decided that his death would be the best thing for his son, because then everybody believed he was dead. There was no longer trying to collect the debts.
Kind of like not tarnish the Wayne family.
Right.
Okay.
So he decided after he got shot that he was just going to assume a new identity and let his son grow up to believe that everything was shiny and wonderful and happy. And of course his son became Batman. He got killed in the line of duty. So then Thomas Wayne decides he is going to take over the legacy of Batman in order to honor his son.
Wow.
So that's who the Batman is.
So Thomas does he go through like a redemption of being this like underbelly kind of castaways, socially unacceptable person?
Well, I mean, yeah, basically he cleaned up his life afterwards, more or less.
Okay.
But he.
What's the artwork look like on Thomas?
Oh, you mean like with the outfit and
yeah.
everything? Here, let me see if I can find a good shot of it. Because this basically goes all the way back through his history and the reasons why he did everything.
Is Bruce's mother still alive too?
No, she died.
Okay.
She died for real. And then he should have died, but he was able to...
I mean, I'll be honest with you, I have absolutely no interest in Earth 2. So, I mean, I'm glad that you're covering this, because I have no clue what's going on in this
I wasn't a big
universe.
fan of the idea, but I thought I would give this story a
has
shot.
there always been an Earth 2 in the DC universe?
Yeah. The idea was, in the 40s,
okay,
you had all of these characters. You had the Superman who worked at the Daily Star instead of the Daily Planet, who had married Lois Lane. You had Batman who had married Catwoman.
And this has started since the 40s.
And that was DC Comics in like the 30s and 40s.
Okay.
You had Dr. Fate, and you had Wildcat, and you had all these World War II pulp heroes. And then in the 50s, sales were down real low, so they basically relaunched everything. They came up with Green Lantern.
Okay.
That's when they
So
had the new
that
Flash.
became Earth 2.
And so what they said was, well, they just cut off the old characters and discarded them and made a new version. And then after a couple of years, they said, well, wouldn't it be neat if we brought back the old characters, but they said it was a parallel universe. So then they started doing these crossover stories where they would go between the two.
That's kind of the twist that I've always enjoyed with DC. Oh, wow.
So that's Batman of Earth 2 now. So it's a striking...
Okay.
And it's still... I mean, you look
it's
at it...
It's almost simple, but...
It looks like Batman, but it goes with the red accent.
Yeah.
And
almost like a Red Robin / Batman.
Well, and it just adds, I think, a different look to the character that... It still instills
the fear. It's
and,
not as complex, real kind of...
And it's still iconic.
Yeah.
It still stands out as that look.
Well, that's interesting. That's a little bit of history I didn't know about DC. That's one thing that I've always admired about DC versus Marvel is the way they handle their timelines.
Yeah, Marvel has what they call a rubber band continuity, where it's like it stretches back only so far, and then it kind of pulls everything forward.
Big Bang Theory.
Well, think of it this way. Captain America. Captain America fought in World War II. He fell, he was frozen, they thawed him out later. Okay, technically they thawed him out in the 60s, right? He became part of the Avengers, and he's been ongoing ever since. Well, with the rubber band continuity, every so often they talk about how, well, he was thawed out, instead of in the 60s, he was thawed out right before the Vietnam War. And then he was thawed out after the Vietnam War.
Right.
And then he was thawed out in the 80s. And then now, someone was talking the other day about he was thawed out after 9/11. So it's like his history only stretches back 10, 15 years, no matter what period of time you're in. So now it's 2014. He thought out in like 2002, 2003.
Funny little anecdote. One of my Facebook friends posted. Her name is Kelly, and she posted she was really frustrated with the new Amazing Spider-Man because it's like, why can't he be a man? It's like he's always this teenage boy. Why can't he be a grown man? And I posted back, well, that's the difference between Marvel and DC.
Well, I mean, technically
Marvel is forever young, and DC the age.
He is. I mean, technically he's in his 20s. I mean,
but he's perpetually in his 20s.
Yes.
He's never a real man. It's like he's always like this man boy.
Right. And that's what DC does a little differently. Is they actually say, okay, we're going to change the history so that everything is still kind of there, but it's like a parallel universe. Kind of like what they did with the Star Trek reboot, so to speak. So anyway, like I said, I'm not a big fan of the whole Earth 2 thing, but I thought that was a really neat story and a neat take on the character and a good way to explain.
So would you think that our listeners should maybe pick it up and give it a shot?
If you read the Earth 2 annual just as like a standalone Elseworld story, like that Superman Year 1 hardcover they came out with or something along those lines, then yeah, it works as its own story. You don't need to know anything else about the universe. You don't have to read anything else. You can just read that one by itself, and it's okay. So I did enjoy that quite a bit. Punisher #1. They came out with a new Punisher.
I haven't
series,
read it yet. I've got it on my queue.
and it's from the guys who do The Activity.
Right.
So I mean, we love The Activity.
Yes.
We've talked about that book quite a bit.
And why do we love The Activity? Because you know what? Not only is the writing style like consistent and it keeps you on your toes, but they collaborate. They work with the
military people.
Yes.
Like they actually.
I mean,
they get a lot of anonymous correspondence
Right.
from people in the military
in the
community to
field
keep
that
it-
actually do what they're writing.
Right.
Brilliant work. It reminds, if you've ever like watched Homeland, take Homeland times 10. I mean, that's what I think about what they did with The Activity and are still doing with The Activity.
Well, what they've done with the Punisher here is that they've taken him out of New York City and they moved him to L.A. And for one, I'm happy with that because I hate
Forget about Frankencastle.
Yeah, that whole thing.
That's all gone.
But one thing I've always kind of disliked about Marvel is that they are so New York centric. Is like you had Punisher, you had Daredevil, you had Spider-Man, you had Fantastic Four, you have the Avengers, you have like everybody is centered in New York City. Because that's where their offices are. That's where all the writers they hire are from. So everything is New York City. So they've taken him out of New York and they put him in L.A. But they put him in the L.A. of like Quentin Tarantino movies, or if you ever seen like Heat,
Right.
Stuff like that. That's the L.A. where he lives, and he's it's
Zed's dead, baby.
drug lords.
Zed's dead.
But he's also closer to the Mexican border, so you're dealing with the drug lords and the cartels and that kind of stuff. But because this is the group that does The Activity, is they're bringing in the special forces to take down the Punisher.
Ooh.
So it's still a military book because the military is now hunting down Frank Castle.
Who are the writers again for this?
Well, it's how do you say? Well, the artist
left click. I watched like Dirt hit the left side of his screen like 12 times. Edmondson, that's right.
And the artist is Gerard's. Mitch.
You know what?
Mitch Gerard.
All apologies. We're terrible with pronunciation. We're just going to state that out. In the front.
In the front?
In the front.
That's where she... Anyway. Nathan Edmondson is the writer. Mitch Gerard. Gerads.
Mm-hmm. So is it the same from The Activity? Exactly?
Yeah, it's the same two guys that do The Activity. So the art style is the same,
and I love the art style.
And so you get a really good feel.
What you're going to get from that art is a consistent frame by frame flow, where it's easy to follow from page to page. It's not really complex. You're not looking at for example, I was going to talk about Marvel Knights Spider-Man, where it's like this
crazy
kaleidoscope
right.
of like patterns that like lead into the center of something where you have to like stare at the page and wait for like the sailboat to come at you, you know.
Well, and he does a good job. One thing that we've
but
talked about,
it's like it keeps you going.
One
like,
thing we've talked about before is that there are artists that are really good with panel flow, where if someone's pointing a gun at somebody, they're pointing the gun in the direction of the next panel
right.
that you're going to read, so that your eye is naturally drawn to the arm, to the gun, to the next panel you're looking at. And he's very good at doing that type of thing.
Oops, sorry. That was me disconnecting my tablet from the keypad.
Welcome back to the show.
Hey,
Welcome back to the show.
no,
the
huckster is waiting for Prison Pit Book 5, and he's in idle. He's conserving energy. So,
but yeah, so the panel flow is very well done, as well as the fact that the art style is nice to look at, and it's got some of the classic Punisher stuff where, like, at one point he's pointing a shotgun at a guy trying to get information, and the guy's like, "No, please, I have a family, whatever," and he puts his hand on the gun and kind of like moves it away from his face. And then he's like, "I'll tell you what you need to know. It's these guys, blah, blah, whatever." And then Frank Castle goes ahead and pulls the trigger and blows the guy's hand off. And he's like, "That's for touching my gun."
Oh.
You know, so it's got that nice kind of visceral gore stuff going for it, too.
So it still has that classic Castle feel.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was very happy with that. That was a really good read.
I've got number 1. I was enthusiastic to read it. It just didn't get up to the, you know.
You just didn't have time
It was at the top of my stack. I just didn't get there. So...
Well,
I'm excited.
Check it out.
So yeah, I'm gonna have to check it out. You know what? Because Frankencastle killed it, and then it went into like this whole revamp that just didn't make any sense for a while.
It went into a lot of like mini series, 4 issues, and 3. The one thing though,
it was like they were finding themselves again with.
They did a series called The Trial of the Punisher, which was just a 2-issue thing, and that was pretty good. I would suggest going back and reading that too, because that was definitely worth reading.
But the whole thing where Dawkins cuts up Frank Castle in a bunch of pieces,
and he falls in the sewer,
and then the mole men take him over, and oh my goodness.
All right, let's see here. Oh, this one actually you need to read.
What's that?
Alex and Ada. This is actually from Jonathan Luna of
the Luna Brothers.
Yeah,
well, just one brother though, huh?
It's just one. I guess he doesn't like the other one anymore. So I'm not sure what happened.
They were separated.
They had a falling out, maybe. I guess I don't know. But anyway, in this book, it's in the near future, and this guy's single, early 30s, just kind of making his way through the world, works a job all day. This is the type of world where people have like the chip in their head where they can like think about who they want to make a phone call. They can make the phone call and just talk to each other.
So not so near future.
But at the same time, they're still driving cars to work, but the cars can drive themselves. He goes home, he wants dinner, and he'll tell like the little robot in the kitchen. The little robot in the kitchen will cook up a plate of food for him. But his grandma has an android lover, basically. It's like a butler / lover, companion, whatever. And so for his birthday, she orders him a female.
Oh, brother.
So he gets home. He's like, "No, Grandma, no gifts for my birthday, whatever." And she's like, "Okay, no gifts, but I know what he'll like." So he comes home, and there's this big box, and he opens the box, and sure enough, there's like this hot brunette chick.
Does it say Fred Geely on the box?
No, I don't think it says that. But anyway, he gets this thing, and he's like, "Well, I don't want this android. Like, I'm not gonna, have sex with a robot. This gross and weird, whatever." So he calls the company to send her back, and while he's waiting for him, they start having this conversation. And
hold on, stop for a second.
What?
I'm really intrigued. I have to see the art for this.
Well,
what are we talking about here?
It's Luna Brothers artwork.
So it's very similar to that kind of like
from Sword and Girls and Ultra.
Okay. I got to see what this guy looks like before we continue. I have to see it.
All right. Well, here, let me see if I can find a good shot.
Hold on. Can we share this? Is this on your library here?
Hold on. Here, there's the two of them.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that is the Luna Brothers.
That is like classic. Yeah, there you go.
I'm right there. I'm right there with the sword.
All right,
there.
so
actually, those characters look very similar.
But so he's gonna send her back, you know, because he's like, I don't want this stupid android thing. But then he starts talking to her while he's waiting, and then he starts to feel guilty. And he's like, I feel like I'm abandoning a puppy. You know what I mean? He's like, I don't. It's like sending it back. He feels like he might be hurting her feelings, even though she's an android, but he still has that. So he's like,
was there like an awe moment where like she feels rejected?
Not really, because she's an android, so she's just like, well, whatever you think is best. And then of course he's like, but then that's what a person would say. If, he's like, oh, fuck. So he just says, fine, you can sleep on the couch, you know. You know, so then it becomes like
sorry,
this
there was
awkward...
like this like whole torrent of bad behavior that just washed over my brain. Just...
But he's totally
But he wants.
He's
to
an honorable guy.
All right, well he's a better man than me.
So it becomes like this awkward roommate thing, right? Where it's like she's the android that lives there, but he's not. He doesn't take advantage of her or anything like that. But he's got like an ex-girlfriend. So the ex-girlfriend stops by, and she's like, oh, who's this? And the android says, oh, hi. And she lifts up her arm, and she sees, like, the trademark tattoo of the company that makes the android. Mm-hmm. You know, she's like, oh, so you got a love bot. And he's like, no, I'm not. You know, so it's like this awkward... It's almost like...
Wait a minute, how does this love bot work?
It's almost like you know how Arrested Development is a comedy, but it's not like a sitcom, you know? But it's some parts are kind of...
So this is somewhere between, like, Mork and Mindy and Three's a Company?
It's sure. I'll let you think that. Why not? It's kind of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Deliverance. Somewhere in between
sure,
there.
I got it.
Somewhere in between there.
Squeal like a pig and listen to what Splinter tells us to do.
So I've enjoyed it.
Okay.
You know, it's just it's a good type story.
How many issues are we deep in this?
We're only 3 issues deep.
Okay.
And he's starting to, because he feels like there's more to this android than it's just a machine. Like he feels like maybe there is something more to it. Like it does have a personality. Maybe it does have a soul. He doesn't know. So he goes online to like kind of see what other people think about this, and he finds like this hidden chat room of people who are fighting for like android independence and rebellion, and he's like, I'm not sure I want to go that far, you know. But then at the same time, he's really kind of torn between like what's his loyalty really,
right?
You know, he's like, it's a robot, but does that mean you can do whatever
so
you
like
want?
He's still kind of on the fence of whether or not he feels that it's a robot versus it actually has its own intelligence.
Like, yeah, to the point of, at what point does artificial intelligence become intelligence?
Real.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, it can think, it can learn, can it develop real emotions, or are they always going to be a mimic of emotions? Because at what point does it become...
Okay.
You know, but at the same time, it does it in a way that you're always kind of half chuckling at the situation.
From what I'm hearing from you, I raved about the Thord.
The Thord?
The sword.
S-word.
Pour me some more bourbon.
Oh yeah, that'll fix your problems right there.
I raved about the sword. It sounds like... which Luna brother is this?
Jonathan.
Who's
the other one? Joshua?
Josh.
Is it Jonathan or Joshua? Is that right?
We're horrible people. I'm going to pour some more bourbon, and that's going to wash away my sin on that one. Do you need some more bourbon over there?
Actually, my glass is over here.
Okay, there you go. All right. We're always big fans of the Luna brothers, and I like this is a new twist, so I'm interested. I'll check this out.
All right. Let me ask you this.
Hold on, I just knocked over my transformer. So let me go back up.
Were you a big fan of the old RoboCop?
RoboCop?
Yeah.
Yes, most definitely. Up until
like RoboCop 3.
Yes. Thank you. 3.
RoboCop the series. RoboCop
the first
cartoon,
2, sure. Yeah.
RoboCop Alpha Commando.
You know what? There was another one. I was flipping through the channels late at night last night.
It
was
Prime,
like Prime something or other. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Prime Directives.
Yes, Prime Directives.
That was like for a Canadian Sci-Fi Channel miniseries.
Yeah, no, I just happened to randomly find that last night, and God bless my wife. She was even like, "Well, if you want to watch it, you can watch it. I'm tired," and I put it on. 5 minutes, I was done.
Well, you know, my my parents had satellite when that first aired, like in 2003 or whatever, and so they actually videotaped it for me back in the day. So my wife and I...
wait a minute, on a VHS
Yes, on a VHS
tape?
Cassette.
Where it had, like, magnetic tape?
That's right.
Yeah.
It was like,
Folks, there was a time when you would have magnetic tape to listen to music or video.
you would listen to video? Could you watch it too?
Watch it as well.
Incredible. But anyway, they had recorded it for me because they got whatever channel it
On
was.
magnetic tape.
So I actually brought it home. I was like so excited. I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's like this new RoboCop series, right?" So I put in the tape, and I was the same way. Like it opens, and at first you're like, "Oh, they're doing the funny news report and
right.
you know, like all that kind of stuff." And then after a while, you realize it's like,
"Holy shit, this is."
Oh, thanks.
Oh, holy crap, this is crap.
But you're just kind of like, this is like infomercial quality recording. It's like, God bless them, but you know, it just wasn't there. So when they announced they were doing the remake movie, the new one, when I first saw the outfit for the first time,
It's
like
a ripoff.
Sleek black.
First thing you thought was ripoff,
I was
right?
like, oh, why do they always have to reboot these
it's like,
franchises?
oh, because it's easier to make a toy out of this.
Well, and it's also like it's easier to remake an old movie than come up with a new idea. So I just, I hated it. I was gonna boycott it. I wanted nothing to do with it. And then last December,
they launched their new preview.
They did two things. One, they released the longer trailer, and then two, they started releasing the toys. And they showed RoboCop in the silver and black outfit, like in development, but then later he gets the black outfit. So I saw the silver and black, and I'm like, well, they're paying homage to the original character, so now I feel like they kind of respect it a little bit. And they're saying, here's the original, and then now we're taking the next step.
Right.
With the old black thing. So then I'm like, all right. So then I watched the whole trailer, and I was like, I kind of like this now. And then I saw some of the toys, and I'm like, I kind of like the design. And then the more I look at that black outfit, it's like, he kind of looks like a guy from Tron. And now I like it a lot more. You know what I mean? So...
No, even, actually... I had some criticism at the beginning when I saw the black outfit. It almost like resembled kind of like that. It was like an offshoot of them trying to like modernize what could be RoboCop,
Right.
and I was very disappointed at first. But my only criticism is his movement, his flow.
Well, he's much more agile.
It's more like iRobot, where he's very, very mechanical and less human. That's my only criticism. It's just like,
Well,
he's not a
I'd
human
like-
development. He's more of a robotic development.
Well, the one thing I liked in the old suit was how he was very mechanical and he had to move.
That does not exist in
and
this.
now he's much more
Yes.
fluid and whatever. Okay, but anyway, they came out with
So if we get over that,
they came out
okay.
with a comic. This is the first tie-in, RoboCop Hominum Ex Machina, which is person in the machine. Normally it's Deus.
Ghost in the Machine.
Well, normally it's Deus Ex Machina, which is God in the Machine, which is when some plot point comes out of nowhere that resolves your story. But this is person in the machine.
Which we've already covered that comic book.
Which makes
was
it the God Machine. Yeah, let's not talk about that.
No, Deus Ex.
Deus Ex?
Deus Ex. Remember the video game?
They did. Oh, they did do a comic on
Yeah.
that, didn't they? All right. Well, anyway.
There you go.
A
denouement, if you will. Oh,
All right. So this is our first real glimpse into the RoboCop universe of this new franchise. And so I was like, I'm going to go ahead and pick this up because the trailer, I'm starting to like this a little bit more. So I get this story written by Michael Morrissey, I believe, and art by Jason Copeland.
I love Morrissey.
And the story, okay, here's the breakdown of the story, okay? RoboCop's out doing his thing, busting bad guys. He goes in to get some dirtbag, and the dirtbag's little girl pops up and is like, "No, don't hurt my daddy! Don't hurt my daddy!" RoboCop sees the little girl and has a flashback to his son, and he kind of freaks out, reboots, Like he can't like.
Right.
He starts remembering his human past,
which is very much like the original
and
movies.
so he has to go back to headquarters, and they plug him in the
There's
machines.
like a video flashback too,
Yeah.
where it's like he's like watching a video screen of his previous life.
Yes.
Okay.
So he goes back to headquarters. They're hooking up to the machines, and they're running the diagnostics and everything. And the criminals on the street are like, they just took RoboCop away. Like, RoboCop's gone. Like, it's open season. Like, let's go pillage, you know? So they're rioting and smashing windows, and they're grabbing stuff.
Which is
Just
something,
like,
I don't mean to interrupt, but it's something that they preview in the trailer is like, you know, RoboCop has cleaned up the streets, and now we have
there's
to
like
have
no
a
more
bigger
crime.
prison.
And yeah. So while he's there, everything's breaking, you know, outside, and the fires are, you know, going on, whatever. And the people in the lab are trying to figure out why his humanity is ruining his programming. And while he's there, they've got the TV on, and the news reports are playing, and he's watching the news reports, and he's getting more and more pissed off as his humanity is telling him he needs to go out there and save the people and stop the criminals. So, on the one hand, you've got all the scientists saying, why is his humanity ruining the programming? But on the other hand, his humanity, his natural programming, his instinct is he is a police officer. He does want to go out there and stop the bad guys. So the whole book is talking about that conflict between his humanity and the programming of the robot. So I'm reading the story, and as I'm reading the story, I get about halfway through, and I'm like this is RoboCop. Like, this is really what RoboCop is about. And it's one of those things that always gets like hinted at in the movies, but they never really dive deep into it.
Yeah, no, that was always like, I remember as a kid, that was always what drew me to RoboCop, was his humanity.
And you have
one of the special effects.
I thought you were asleep. What's going on?
Huckster just returned to us.
His eyes are shut, but he's still talking.
I don't know where that even came from.
So anyway,
I think I was imitating.
No, I agree.
But anyway, in the
that's
movies,
what, like, as a kid, that's what always drew me to RoboCop.
Like,
Was,
he had those flashbacks of his humanity.
Here's an android that
and
would like redeem himself and like
trying to regain his humanity.
Yes.
And so, you know, I'm reading this comic, and I'm like, this is the RoboCop story. Like, this is like they have found the essence of what that story is about and put it in, 23 pages for Boom Studios. And I'm like, this makes me love this idea of the movie even more. Officer Lewis is no longer female; it's a black detective, Detective Lewis, which is kind of like meh. But if you kind of think of him as if he's a different character than Lewis from the first one, you can still kind of almost pick this up as if this is a continuation of the original story. Like, it feels like they could have just
Officer Lewis's job in the movie was to bring him back to his humanity. Mm-hmm. Do you have the same thing in this comic?
Well, in the way it's kind of portrayed in this comic, and I would assume it's the same in the movie, is that Lewis seems to be the one person that doesn't view RoboCop as a machine. Like, he looks like that's Officer Murphy, the cop. Officer Murphy, the cop, just happens to be mostly
still
robotic.
Talking to him
as
if
which is kind of what Lewis did.
So is he his partner as well?
I don't know if they're actually partners, because it doesn't. I don't think it goes that deep into it here in this comic.
You can only support RoboCop. You cannot be a partner of RoboCop.
All right,
he has no equal.
Right now, we're slowly getting Huckster back into pop culture network right here. He's slowly getting back, and you know what? I think Dirt has finally consumed enough 1792 that he is also reverting back to this cohesive gel that is leading us to only one topic that must be discussed this evening.
Oh, you're ready to move on now? Is that what we're doing?
I think we need to...
You're trying to do a segue here?
We need to cut the cord.
The pit of incarceration.
We need to cut the cord. I think RoboCop is a great lead into what must be
the whole of incarceration? Is that what it's called?
The fifth phase of a masterpiece that must be discussed.
No, it's the last phase.
The fifth and...
I don't think
it's the last.
No, it's not the last. It's not the last.
This will be continued.
Because I think it even says
of Johnny Ryan's masterpiece, and I hope to God you're listening to to little baby Jesus. I hope you're listening. Johnny Ryan's masterpiece, The Prison Pit.
Prison
Book
Pit,
5.
Book 5.
Stay tuned, folks.
Oh, are we gonna take a break and then come back?
Oh yeah, it's coming.
You don't want to handle all 124 pages of story right now?
No.
Okay. All right, we'll take a quick break. And then we'll blow your mind.
Ready for this? You know, we gotta be psyched.
All you're trying to do is
slap
me.
Slap me.
No.
Slap me.
No.
Come on, one more.
No.
One more. Come on, do it.
I didn't do it.
They're waiting.
That
They're
wasn't
waiting.
what? Who?
Look at me.
What?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
For a kiss on the cheek? What are you doing?
Folks, we are ready to cover Prison Pit. Book 5.
Oh wait. Hold on. Let's assume, for the sake of argument, someone is listening to the show for the very first time,
And they don't know what Prison
they've
Pit is?
never heard of Prison Pit before.
Oh
Not
my
experienced.
goodness. I don't know where to begin.
Well, why is it
LSD?
called Prison Pit?
I don't know where to begin.
Actually, I don't even know.
Because there's a big hole in the ground
Right.
where they drop people,
No,
and it's
just one prisoner.
there's lots of prisoners. down
Right. But art, heroin.
Heroin.
there. F-Face, as he's known.
has been dropped into the pit. And you know what? We're not going to fill in the gaps, are we here? I mean, we're expecting that the people that are listening to the show understand Prison Pit.
All right, well, here, you've got the internet. You can Google it. I would suggest doing it in one of those incognito tabs where the NSA will not be tracking it back to you personally as you do some research.
Picture the Wrath of Khan meets Hellraiser.
Nah.
No, imagine some kind of like snuff film meets some sort of like, I don't know, molestation trial on court TV.
With the woman from CNN that gets all angry.
Nancy Grace?
Yes, Nancy Grace.
Wow.
Say, this is wrong.
Now
They
picture
can't
that in
be
your
doing
mind.
this.
And then disregard it completely.
Alright, so Prison Pit is a story of this man thrown in prison on this prison planet
An epic tale of heroism
and
Survival.
survival.
and survival. And he must survive in this
Using every tool at his disposal.
in this
Every
speaking of tools, so like for instance, the prison boss is trying to have him killed for whatever reason, and at the end of book 4, it appeared that our heroine, F-Face, died when he he like ejaculated crystals and made some sort of flying machine,
Right.
and it crashed in a mountain.
And then it turned like the big green or the big black
Spooge
goo
thing.
thing that turns into like this big black monster that apparently is the ultimate ruler of Prison Pit.
And so it's smashed into like this mountain, and you thought everyone was dead. So this book opens up with the prison boss watching
Wait a minute,
the explosion.
Does the huckster have a copy of this? He needs
well,
to be
he
flipping
read this
through.
copy.
I read it.
You need to get another copy of this.
Here, you take that
one.
Flow that. This needs to flow naturally, folks. Naturally, folks.
We're not going to half-ass this prison pit.
Right. We got a technology.
Book 5
out.
must be covered
It's a
appropriately.
good thing that Dirt has like 5 tablets.
Actually, just 4.
Just 4.
Just 4.
Okay. This one is called Chapter 11, Prison Boss.
And what does the prison boss do in order to celebrate?
Well,
when he sees that F-Face is apparently dead,
he cat jaculates.
no, he celebrates with some cat jaculate.
Which
Yes.
he injects.
Which he has a cat in a box.
He
Actually, there's-
intravenously injects.
It's got a sound effect, jab.
No, it's like
Click,
sliz,
jab.
Sliz.
Sliz. Click,
click,
jab.
jab, and then it's shivs,
Oh.
shivs. And apparently the prison boss is very happy with this because he.
Well, wouldn't you be happy if you intravenously took
Yes.
some cat jaculate?
He has a problem with his prostate, and he lets go.
All over his fancy steps.
Apparently, there's this overseeing eyeball thing that
It's the computer.
the
It's
computer
like
is
an
like
eye on
his
a tentacle.
supercomputer that like realizes that the heroine
F-Face.
F-Face is still alive. He rises from his chair, is so angry, he beats up the cat. The cat jaculate. Destroys the cat jaculate. Destroys the supercomputer. Rips the eyeball. Destroys the eyeball. And then moves on to proceed to release the Holocaust brothers that must make sure that our hero pays for what he has done.
He also chops one of his hapless minions in half with his bare hand.
Right. Just to prove a point. One of his
Including
guards.
chains and whatever else is in there.
And there's even like a question like, should I release the Holocaust brothers? Really? The Holocaust brothers? And then he does a karate chop and chops them in half.
How dare he?
How glorious. What an effective leader.
Glorious.
What an effective leader. I mean, this is the kind of superior leadership that is needed to succeed in the prison pit.
in the pit of incarceration.
I mean, if you're going to live in the prison pit, you need to be the pit boss.
The pit boss.
Meanwhile,
What would you say is the main overall theme of Prison Pit?
interdimensional night slime.
I was going to say survival at all costs, but I mean, whatever.
I think that this whole night slime thing apparently is a superior being that exists on Prison Pit.
What is night slime?
I don't know.
Well, what does it look like?
I don't know. It's just like this big black blob with a bunch of eyeballs.
It's like this dripping flying turd with eyeballs. And
But that seems to trump everything. It's like, oh yeah, okay, you can use your scrotum to wield as a morning star. Well, guess what? I have night slime. My night slime trumps your scrotum with morning star capabilities.
I'd like to see that fight.
So the night slime appears, summoned
then-
by the pit boss.
Who then promptly liquefies, or he takes off his neck.
Well,
helmet.
okay, going back to our hero, who still has his, what do they call that thing?
His little worm thing on
There's
his
a
hand.
worm.
His,
I'm not to use a better phrase, jism thing.
It's
By the way, this part of the show is not for 13-year-olds.
But 12-year-olds, you're in.
No. Dirt. No. 18 and older must proceed from this point forward.
It depends. I mean, like in Arkansas.
Okay.
It's like 16 with parental consent. You know what I mean?
They
By
read
no-
this and that was Thursday.
This, and by no way, is representative of Pop Culture Network. In the affiliates they're in. So in this what is this page 31 of 125, our hero has decided that he is risen from the rubble. He yanks
still
out.
alive.
Yeah, he's still alive. He yanks out all the elements that have pierced him. This whole What is this like guy that like was coming after him?
Yeah, there's some other guy has thrown himself into the prison pit
to go get him
to kill F-Face.
F-Face, yeah. Which leads into chapter 12.
Slit. Oh, Slit, not
Slit.
With 2 T's.
And the guy is like this. He's like a snake man looking. With long, greasy hair.
With the Vulcan ears.
He's like a cross between, like, a Vulcan roadie for Leonard Skinner.
And a Mexican wrestler.
And a Mexican snake man.
And without, we have to exclude expletives in this. Because we try to keep this a good family show.
Now the artwork,
we quickly determined that they don't like each other.
I think the artwork actually tries to draw a physical comparison between the two, where F-Face is bigger and bulkier.
But they're the same species.
But yeah, I think they're both from the same home world.
So maybe like he like made his grandma
because they both seem to have the same. They both seem to have the same ears.
You angered my pappy. I'm coming to get you. So I'm coming to the pit to come get you. And you know what? That's like the first thing that like... The first thing that like drew to my mind was like, why is this guy after F-Face? You know, why does he want him so bad? And that answer is not... Folks, that riddle is not solved.
He says right here, you killed and raped every living creature on my planet.
He's a boo F-Face.
What are you talking about? No, I don't know what you're talking about. That's ridiculous. He would never do such a thing.
They should have had a flashback episode.
Okay. Alright, so we continue.
So F-Face is bigger and stronger, but it looks like the new guy
is really kicking his butt.
He's like the ninja.
Yeah,
he's like
right
super fast.
But F-Face is not to be fooled. Once again,
he kills the sperm arm.
Stop everything.
What?
Johnny Ryan and his ability to take the most simple drawings. Okay, I mean Let's be honest. A 12-year-old could draw this. Okay, but
there's a uniqueness to the storytelling.
Yes.
The way he does transitions, where like he zooms in on the oily interdimensional black goo, but then as you see the eyes form, it pulls back and it's the eyes of F-Face covered in blood, and not the black goo anymore. So he's got that ability to make these weird transitions from one to the other. But then, you've got stuff where he, someone will punch the other guy in the chest and break through his rib cage. And it just says SPT,
right.
And then the guy says, "Ow, A-OK," as he's dying. And this universe, like, there's always these weird, like, tetrahedron, spike-covered objects, like, within the people that power them. But if you pull them out and you jam in your urethra, then it, like, grows super large and creates some sort of spaceship for you to fly in.
Beast that like exists, that like becomes like a Sasquatch. Yeah. Well, for example, here, and that's the thing. Like, who's
you learn
the hero?
A little bit about.
Here's the other thing: is like, who is the hero here? Is it F-Face?
Well, you're supposed to want to cheer for F-Face because he's the one thrown in this prison that you're following with, who's trying to get out. I mean, you're trying to follow him. But
I mean, you're introduced to this new character.
Maybe the whole planet of people wanted to be raped and murdered. I mean, you don't know if they didn't. I mean, you don't know like what waivers they may have signed before he went in.
Is this like
Breaking
professional wrestling?
murder all
Hold on. Dirt's gonna like take us back to professional wrestling here. Like, how does the contract work?
Because
do they need to sit down and negotiate this before they go into the match, or is this kind of like a fly-by-night thing?
Like, listen, if your eyeball gets gouged out in the middle, then that's just what happens.
If you're gonna soon be meeting your ancestors,
He does. The ancestors in Vliv.
the Vliv. Oh, we're on the same page. Ooh. Hey, how about that? That's even sexier than Prison Pit.
Rah, hurl. Glitch.
Okay, then we go into like the pool of fire, where basically this guy like comes out of the pool of fire to basically rip off the head of our hero.
And instead, our
reaches
hero reaches in and pulls out the
cube for whatever.
It's not a cube. This is way too many sides for a cube.
It's like a quadrahedron.
Septahedron. The spike.
Octahedron.
He grabs it though. He
octahedron.
You know what? Johnny Ryan states it very clearly. Grab.
It does say grab.
But it's like a lightning bolt grab.
So it's like a super grab. Like he grabbed the heck out of it.
He's punching through the guy's chest.
Very clearly in the fourth frame it says he has been betrayed.
It wasn't supposed to happen this way. I've been betrayed.
Yes.
Well, he's on fire.
Okay, and then leading into the denouement. The climax
throb.
Johnny Ryan's masterpiece, Book 5.
This spiked octahedron that he pulls out apparently has a vulva.
Throbs very several times.
There's a vulva in the middle of it, and it says that you must reignite the Calgavon and
Caligulon.
Well, it looks like a V, but it's a V though, isn't it?
Caligulon.
I thought it was a U, Caligulon.
And
Caligula.
And he's got to remember, well, where is the other part?
Why should I?
It's the only way to get out and get revenge. And so he remembers, where's the other part of this? Oh, that's right. Undigestible scrotum had it hanging from his waistband.
Which takes us back to what, like...
Issue 2, I think?
Yeah, 2 or 3.
So now he's got to find his way back, but before he can do that, he's like, you mean I have to go all the way back there and find it? And this thing says, insert me into your urethra. And so he goes, green, arg, ah,
curse.
And then he goes,
and he turns into this, like, half-crystal beast slash
straight from his
F-face.
urethra. Like, it starts in the urethra and it grows over
So
his
we
body.
should all use our imagination.
You know what? It's a story. It's a story of transformation.
Yes,
it's a boy growing into adulthood.
He's half human, half robot.
But see, here's the thing.
Half crystal.
The lesson that we pick up from this is that the more you stick things into your urethra, the more
better.
powerful you become. I mean, that's the lesson it's trying to teach us. It's all about
brother.
The strengthening
No.
of your urethra.
You know what? Hallelujah. Cancel the show. We're done. You just...
We
You know what?
figured it
The
out.
meaning of life is stick things in your urethra.
Oh, damn.
Only good things can happen.
Only...
If the more you stick pointy, sharp things in your urethra,
Or just keep pouring your glass of bourbon. You'll be fine. Anybody else need more? Okay. All right. We're good.
So as he
Opa, everybody. Opa. Everybody, this is the point where we all take a drink.
So, F-Face is now powered up, and apparently he goes back to where he fought before. This becomes Chapter 13, the abortion bucket. And there you see all the body
Does
parts.
anybody else need some more homebrew?
No, I'm good. I still got a quarter of a half gallon
Jug.
I got a couple of fingers of 1792.
Whoa.
Yeah, that was 1792. Or 1972.
Folks, this is the latter part of the show, so you better just strap down, make sure that all of your seat trays in the upright position, and that you are ready for takeoff, because we're there.
But see, here's the thing. Here's the thing where the book gets you. Where it's like the
is this what
right,
gets us?
right in the scrotum.
Because he goes back to the land known as the abortion bucket, and the body parts of the fallen victims have somehow constituted themselves as a new monster that he has to fight.
Right.
And so this big creature jumps out of the hole.
I
Right.
love.
Wait a
I
minute.
love
Wait a minute. What chapter is that?
Chapter 13.
What is that chapter called?
the
Abortion
bucket. We got
bucket.
that.
Okay.
So when he comes up, the sound effects is, damn.
Sound effects.
Yeah.
He's got faces on his legs. That's how big and powerful his
Shut your
is.
mouth.
So,
He's also bigger than. that
yes,
face.
and he's got the other part of the Caligulon sticking out of his urethra. So now he's got to get the other part of the Caligulon out of this monster's urethra so he can reunite it with his Caligulon.
It's like bacon.
This is some
for-
complicated. You know what? This is Dynasty all over again.
That's just like when J.R. Ewing was trying to get his oil
You know,
empire.
He did. You know, he just wanted to keep his empire going.
So, okay. I don't know. I don't think we're doing this justice.
No,
I
it's
don't
not.
think, I don't think we're adequately.
I think Johnny Ryan needs to come on our show.
Okay, that's gonna.
Not in that sense.
Hey, he can do whatever he wants in his computer.
But you know what, Johnny Ryan, I have to state this outright. We've been doing Comiholics for 39 episodes, almost 4 years, and the most fun we have, flat out,
Oh yeah.
hands down, is covering your comic.
Prison Pit, selling whiskey
Prison
by the
Pit.
barrel.
That's right. I think we need to create a Prison Pit bourbon.
You gonna make your own Prison Pit bourbon?
Yes.
Don't you have that over there? What's that?
Yeah. Oh, I've got some.
Zachariah Harris.
Yeah,
Zachariah
no.
Harris is the Prison Pit of bourbons.
You know what? For the record, if you're listening and you've gone this far,
And your
love your
Zachariah
work.
Harris.
And I think that leading into book 5 is, for me, I feel a little stuck though.
Are you trying to be serious?
You feel like it's too repetitive at this point?
No, it's just like
Is it
it's
too
like,
monochromatic for you?
no. The climax is coming. I just feel like book 5 has kind of like taken me to the point where it's like the O face, you know? It's like oh,
But on a scale, okay, wait. On a scale of Lowe's janitorial closets,
Oh no!
where would you put this one?
Basement.
Okay. The one thing I'm surprised you haven't mentioned though is that he does throw in an homage to Krang from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in this issue.
Where?
Page 74.
Okay, hold
Oh,
on.
I was on
I'm
70.
on 71.
Yeah, well, see, he
I
gets to
was on
74.
70.
He cuts off the head of that giant monster,
Oh!
and what
yeah.
falls out of his stomach. Go to the next page, so page 74. Look at your page numbers at the bottom.
What, the guy with the crystal
Torquato.
penis?
No. What page number is at the bottom?
75?
Go back.
74.
Go back a page.
No, 73, 74. Yeah. That guy there?
No, you're on 72.
73.
73.
74.
74. There's Krang
That's Krang?
from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Look,
You think
there's
that's Krang?
There's a brain-looking thing with 2 little tentacle arms inside the body cavity of that giant monster. It looks
I'm
like
sorry.
It looks like Krang in a giant robot body. Come on.
It's its own thing.
Come on.
It's kind of the same thing. You know, if it was Krang, it would be in a
It's
robot.
got brain. It's most likely feces.
And it says Doom.
No, it doesn't say Doom. It says Doom.
I don't think that's necessarily a Krang reference. I'm sorry.
I
don't buy that.
I think it's
I like
an
the
homage.
penmanship there. It's got a lot more detail on that.
It's an homage. or
Hey,
as we like
he's
to
going
say,
French here.
a homage.
A homage.
A homage.
Okay, well, let's go further. So our hero
He makes this
attacks a Krang-like, quote-unquote, like creature.
but he makes a spike come out of his hand, kind of like RoboCop. Going back to
Or
RoboCop earlier, where
Wolverine.
RoboCop has that spike.
Well, yeah, he has that
comes out
one
of his hand.
spike, yeah.
He's like,
Okay, sure.
so now he's got the So the
I wonder if
RoboCop
that's
spike hand.
Johnny Ryan reference there.
See,
You know what? We need a Johnny on the show. You know what? We worship you. We love you. You need to get on Comiholics. I plugged it. I've done it. It's been done.
so the Krang monster grabs F-Face's crystallized head and says,
Jabs it in there.
I'm gonna crush your head like a goddamn dingleberry. But
With a
F-Face
single
fights back.
crack, our hero has launched him across the page.
Is that the best you could do, you gigantic turd? Come on! And so then the gigantic turd, but see, he ripped the arms off the gigantic turd guy, and these tentacles come out. So the tentacles are actually reaching out towards F-Face.
But what you have to understand is that F-Face sucks at tentacles.
What you gotta understand is,
It's his doom, his
Killer.
bane.
You gotta understand where Killer came from as a puppy, man. All right.
But he does. He even admits that he sucks at tentacles.
Okay, so here comes the tentacles.
They wrap him up.
So you got your Krang-like figure,
So he wraps him in the tentacles, and he jumps down into the dark pit,
right?
and it looks like all is lost for our hero.
Right.
But then the story shifts because he does these great transitions from
Into white,
from one scene
from
to
black
another,
into white.
from black into white,
And there's
in a
the
subtle
arm.
in a subtle transition from black to white. You find the
The arm.
Holocaust brothers who have been released, and they are slaughtering everybody on this planet, trying to find their way back to F-Face, trying to find the guys who may have fought him before, or whatever. And they have on their radar box the location of F-Face, and they head off after doing a quick fist bump. They head off to find him.
Punch, I believe is how that fist bump goes.
Which, by the way, is chapter 14, the Holocaust Brothers.
And the Holocaust brothers are driving giant heads with saw blade legs.
You're taking
that-
over
that cut
co-host
over.
here.
Where are you going?
I gotta pee.
Right now?
Yes.
Well, grab a bottle. There's some empties here. So
yeah.
what do you think of the Holocaust brothers? Do they feel like original characters?
I think they're-
Or do you think they're too derivative of Rottweiler Herpes and his
I don't
gang
know.
from earlier in the book?
What's the why? I just want to know how they chose the heads. They have special powers. The head tanks that they're part of. Like one of them has missiles, like these little penile missiles.
I think really what you're looking at here is he's starting to get into that over commercialized mode where he's looking at the toy tie-ins.
Oh yeah.
Where it's like in He-Man, they'd have to have like a new.
Well, the other one has like a labia mouth. What is that thing? It's like
No,
a
that's
saw
more-
blade?
that's
That's the
like
one
a-
that shoots rockets.
That's like a lobster claw
Oh.
mouth, I think, is what that's supposed to be.
Oh.
Because I
That's
mean, you're going way too Freudian on all that stuff. You got to back it up a little bit.
And they both have S8 on them. Sate.
Right, which I'm trying to understand the symbolism.
Yeah.
The symbol. What's the symbolism of S8?
I love how they have this massive technology, and then the one guy has like this flail, and the other one's got a 6-shooter, like from a cowboy movie.
So,
He's really
what could the S8? I mean, is there like some Nazi reference to that? Because it's almost like the S of the SS.
It does look like it looks like a little like a homage to the SS.
But he made the second S into an 8. Is
Well-
that so he can sell it in Germany?
No, it's just you automatically don't. These are the bad guys. You can tell by the S8 that these guys are going to be the bad guys. That F-Face has to show down against these guys.
And so they reach the pit where F-Face had fallen down into, and they see actually the remains of the giant turd head creature come flying out, and then F-Face comes flying out afterwards. But the thing here that they don't understand is that he's been powered up by putting the Caligulon in his urethra, and they don't understand that he's got the crystallized armor.
But as soon as he flies out of this pit, the guy with the 6-shooter immediately puts 3 bullets into him.
And it has no effect. Because he is so powered up right now that the 6-shooter doesn't do any damage.
Because he has a crystal weapon.
He's got a crystal tool.
Excellently placed.
A well-placed crystal weapon.
It's a tool, but a tool can be a weapon.
Quickly takes out one of the brothers.
He spikes him. He
flies across. You switch pages, and it's in the guy's head,
right in the middle of his face.
The special tool has taken out one of the brothers quickly. It was
I'm going to decapacitate him. It even says "rip," and the head comes off,
and it says "damn."
But when they first impact it goes cram,
and then it says "holy bleeping boop boop."
So now, F-Face is standing there, half crystallized armor with the head hanging off of his.
And he says, "You're next, my friend."
My friend. And then the other says, "You're gonna pay for that, scumbag." And then Brazat, as lightning bolts shoot out of these tubes on the side of his decapitated head machine.
Which does zap him.
It does get him, but it kicks up all this dust, and he can't see what's happening.
And he says, what the heck is going on here?"
What he doesn't realize is that F-Face has picked up the other giant decapitated head machine and is throwing the saw blades right at the other one of the Holocaust brothers, which chops him up to pieces. So he has seemingly dispatched both of the badass Holocaust brothers in just a matter of moments here, because he is so powered up by the Caligulon. And so he goes back to the turd head, pulls out the other half of the Caligulon, and he reunites the two pieces together.
Not only to get his piece out, he just vomits it.
Yeah, he has to induce vomiting to get it back out of his urethra because it's so armored up. He can't push it out through that hole, so it's got to come out the other hole up top. And the two of them combine, and it makes another dodecahedron thing, which turns into the intergalactic night slime monster, which apparently was hiding within.
What brilliant tapestry!
And it takes over.
Put all this together,
and it takes liquefies. Over.
He becomes the goo,
and it fades to black.
You know what? It blew my mind.
It fades to black in the book ends.
My mind was liquefied. I don't think I could read any more of the giant
how
ride.
powerful
No. Huckster? Dirt?
Let me think of your name.
I don't think I can do any more. I think Johnny Ryan has reached his peak. That this is like no more can be done.
Oh, you're saying it's all downhill from here?
No, not so all downhill. I don't know where he can go from here.
If you fade to black,
I'm
of course.
blown. My mind is bottled. My mind is bottled into a little bottle. It's a masterpiece.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I think we're looking at the dawning of a new age for Prison Pit with the animated movie.
The action toy line.
Well, there's been rumors of an animated movie, and actually he's.
I thought it was announced at San Diego.
Yeah.
That they're actually making the animated movie. So, I mean, you've got something else to be banned in Germany.
Yep.
Besides just the book. On a scale of 1 to 10 horrible back alley sexual encounters, where would you put this?
On an Olympic level?
on a Sochi Olympic level.
On a Sochi Olympic level, I would give this a 10.5.
Wow.
Huckster, well, what would you rate this?
It defies rating systems, but I'm going to go to a feces 0.2.
Feces 0.2.
No, it's a good. No,
it's
a good.
A fecal 2. F2.
A fecal 2.
That's like two.
It's like an F4.
It's a 2 squared.
It hits you like an F4 tornado.
And dirt.
What?
How would you apply this?
apply it to what?
Like
A topical cream? I would apply it like a topical cream to my bodily rashes.
At once. You know what, Johnny Ryan? I hope you're watching or listening to our show. We don't do a video anymore, but
we put it on YouTube anyway.
Yeah. We love your comic. It's a breath of fresh air, and let me tell you on several different levels. One, its simplistic sense of humor. It's fun. It's just fun. You know, it's like, you know, we cover a lot of books that involve like all these like intertwined plots between the Marvel universe and the DC universe and all these other complex continuities that exist with like that make the characters exist. But you have created these characters in Prison Pit that like we not only don't give about
a poopy,
yes, but at the same time we love. You made that happen. It's just, you know, you created nothing. You created a pile of fly and made it something that we like look forward to every volume.
What?
Dirt.
What?
Tell me.
Huh?
What do you feel about Prison Pit?
Oh, I thought you were talking about something else.
Oh yeah, no, we're not talking about Darkest Hour or anything like that. You know, we're. Tell me.
Oh, are you still asking me a question?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. What is it?
Prison Pit.
Start at the beginning.
How do you feel about Prison Pit?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay. Huckster, what do you think about Prison Pit? We've been covering this. This is our 5th rendition of Prison
I just
Pit.
like that we make it an event. Whenever it comes out, it's a party.
Like, I think.
No, Johnny. When we know that we are going to cover Prison Pit, we make sure we have the finest bourbon available and
the worst.
Yeah, and the worst.
And then we follow.
And then we subsequently just smash our brain cells by reading and through alcohol.
I think when
and I think that's the intention.
No, I
think that is the.
I think in about 15 to 20 years, when I've reached a much older plateau in my life, where there are choices that I have to make about the future. I mean, when I really have to seriously plan about
this is going back to RoboCop.
When I seriously have to worry about myself dying off, the legacy I leave to my children, the history that I leave behind, I think there will be a large feeling of regret that I have for the fact that Prison Pit it didn't make a bigger impact on me earlier in life to set me on the correct direction.
The path of survival.
Now
transformation, survival.
I have to make a course correction at this point in my life that I don't know if even 20 years will be enough to put me in the place that I really need to be to make that legacy for my children, because I didn't jump on the Prison Pit bandwagon in 2009 when it came out.
Oh. I guess what we're getting at here, folks, is if you haven't ridden Prison Pit.
If you've been drinking where Brenton
you need to start from Volume 1
with the chocolate pudding.
Then come back and listen to Comiholics episode 39. Because then you will understand what we're talking about this evening. This is what we're all about. This is what Comiholics is all about. He developed this creative style.
It's a way of blending an esoteric appreciation for art and bodily fluids
and comedy and bodily fluids
and the what we take for granted is our humanity and reality, and he's found a way to obliterate all respect you would have had for your fellow human beings for $9.95 an issue.
I agree.
All right, so there we go. That's
Read it.
Prison Pit.
Experience it.
Are you taking this stack home?
No.
Why not? Take those. Take all those. There's books and comics. And then go home and take a nap because you look tired.
I'm there.
Mm-hmm. Now you, Mr. Apocalypse, when I came here tonight, you made all these promises of wieners. And it's like we had a handful of wieners, but there just weren't enough wieners. And
I gave you a box of nuts.
that was not a box. That was a can. First of all,
Canned nuts.
you had canned nuts. Okay, I want fresh nuts.
You know what, Johnny Ryan? You're out of the picture now. I've been accused of not having enough nuts,
and they weren't fresh.
and they weren't fresh enough.
They were like
apparently
kind
Freshly
of
salted.
the good, the bad, and the bounty.
the good, the bad, and the nutty.
But I must say, folks, thank you for all your support and love for our show. Been doing this about 4 years now, haven't it been?
I don't know.
4 years.
Psh, whatever.
We're getting ready
We're
to
off
come
to-
upon to C2E2. This is our 4th year or 5th year.
Who knows?
Yeah, a long time.
Actually,
4th year.
Is it 4th?
Number 4.
I was thinking.
And it's always a fun event for us because we get our friends together. It's a very close group of friends. We all pile up in my car and drive up to Chicago and
pile into your car.
well,
Your car is like the size of a small hobo mansion. I mean, it's like
okay, it's an expedition.
it's
you
like
know?
it like seats 12
Eight.
children or 8 adults.
And we all pile up. We go up to and we go to C2E2 and
Oh, luckily we don't have to take Rick this year.
oh, we don't.
Yeah, he's not going.
Okay.
Yes. So we can actually enjoy ourselves and not have to get emo halfway through.
Okay.
So
Alright. So we're gonna be happy, and I'm gonna tackle Dirt, and he's not gonna beat me up for it.
no, I might still punch you around a little
He
bit.
still
this
might
time.
punch me, but maybe I won't take so much offense to it. You know, C2E2 is coming around the corner. It's basically San Diego Con.
On a realistic scale.
Yeah, it's not as big. It's as close as you're gonna get. It's probably, I think, number 2 con in the
Or
North
fourth.
America.
Or fourth.
4th?
Yeah, fourth.
Okay. I still think it's
New York, then WonderCon, and then
Yeah.
C2E2.
But
Anyway,
Stan Lee will be there. And-
Stan Lee's always there.
no, he didn't make it last time. Remember?
He's at every con.
Okay. I have a book for him to sign. I'm really
I
excited.
think it's going to
about
cost
that.
you $200.
I don't care. I will pay it.
All right.
He's 90 years old.
I'm gonna have him sign a copy of Stripperella or something. I'm gonna try to find something. What's the worst thing you've ever done? Hold on, I'll be back in 5 minutes.
And, you know, I'm sure we'll get shunned by Archaea again.
Well, no, now they're owned by Boom,
Okay, that's right.
so
We need to schmooze up with the Boone folks.
we'll be all right.
Yeah.
So
So what you have to look forward to with Comiholics in the future? Well, it's February and we're moving into March. We've got another month or so. We're going to try to squeeze in at least 2 more Comiholics before...
two more.
Listen to him. Before C2E2. And stay tuned, folks, because it can't get any better than this.
You know, we're gonna have to do like a whole child-centric episode where we talk about Turtles animated, Sonic the Hedgehog, Mega Man,
And My Little
My Little
Ponies.
Pony. Yeah, we'll cover that one.
Okay.
So your demographics taken care of, and then maybe something I like too. So,
But yeah, stay tuned. More to come.
and
Love
if
you
you want to
folks.
leave our voicemail, you can call our 24-hour voicemail line. It's area code 217-953-4025. You can always go to the forums at jointheforums.com, the official forums of the Pop Culture Network. You can send an email to the Apocalypse at comiholics.com or to myself, Dirt, at popculturenetwork.com. I get one at the main.com because I'm one of the main guys. He's just stuck at Comiholics because, well, he's the Apocalypse. Huckster-
But
What?
if you send me an email to Apocalypse, I promise you I'll respond promptly and
because
quickly.
you never get any.
Yes.
Because I actually haven't filtered out. So
please send me some feedback. Tell me if you think I suck. Tell me. I promise you, I will give you some feedback.
You suck
promptly.
like a cashier. All right, so with that, we will call it a night. And thanks for listening, everybody. And we apologize for segment 3 of the show tonight. We'll talk to you later.
Adios.
Wake up, Huckster. All right.
I love the Zales knockoff from, is it Family Guy? Where it's like the two silhouettes and he hands her a diamond. And
then she goes down.
And the line is, she'll pretty much have to.